All right, there we go. Let me go punch my dogs real quick and then I'll start this bitch up. I'm gonna watch it in 1.5. Yeah, hold on, be right back. Motherfucking whore. There we go. Doggies, you behave yourselves. I don't want to hear you. All right, let's go. Oh, slap that dick on down. Let's go. All right. Let's get to watching.
Nice to see you, Deej Nuts, for $5. But yeah, today we're going to be talking about Trump's tariffs and his plans for tariffs and how he is using them, some say, as a negotiating tactic to get to zero tariffs.
Right,
some say he's using these as a way to bring back American industrialism. Others say he's using it to destroy the economy on purpose so they can devalue the dollar and refinance the debt. Still others say he's just retarded. And today, we're going to talk about what that is, what that means, and why. And we've got some great people to come and talk to you today. We're going to give the mic first to Nanfan to start this show. Nanfan, tell people who you are, what you do, and what are your thoughts. Go ahead.
I'm Nanfan. You can catch my streams on YouTube and on Twitch and Kick at Nanfan420. And I am the ultimate free trader. I think everything from the kind of shifting, contradictory goal of the tariffs to the insane formula they use to get them to the way they're announcing it and rolling it out has all been fucking insane and basically indefensible in so many ways. I can't fit it all in an opening statement. So I'm going to lay out, I think, a few brief things that I think we're going to circle back to a lot in this debate. One, trade is mutually beneficial. There are benefits from competitive advantage, regardless of if you're in a trade deficit or, you know, what your trading partner tariffs you. Second is we should care about things in aggregate. We should care about the tariffs aggregate impact on manufacturing because they may help it in some ways and hurt it in other ways. We have to care about things in aggregate. They may help wages in some places, hurt wages in other ways. We should care about the aggregate amount of things. Three, trade is just a type of technology. It's just a way to indirectly produce things we import by first producing things to export and then trading for them. Just like any other technology, it might have some people who might leave some people worse off, but we would never argue that we should dig canals with spoons instead of shovels because, you know, using spoons would create more jobs. Lastly, the theory and empirical evidence are just generally against tariffs. We have reason to believe in theory that tariffs will be a net job loss, and the empirical evidence supports it. We have good reasons to believe in theory that tariffs reduce productivity, and the empirical evidence supports it, etc., etc. That's all I gotta say.
So it's one of the two people I'm going to be going over because I don't know this other guy. It looks kind of like a 1970s pilot. I'm just going to cover Nanfan, Wick, and myself, really. Tiberius kind of dropped out of politics, so I'm just going to, not really spend the time on it unless he decides he wants to come back, and then I'll give him my critiques. But yeah, so far Nanfan, for his first 3 points were just general statements. We should take aggregates into account, okay? I'm sure the Trump administration has done that. He doesn't agree with rollouts because they don't fit his specific definition of reciprocal. Don't give a fuck, nobody cares, stupid argument. I think the last one was the only song. Here, listen to it one time.
Canals with spoons instead of shovels because using spoons would create more jobs. Lastly, the theory and empirical evidence are just generally against tariffs. We have reason
he goes to an extreme on creating more jobs. Well, nobody's talking about creating more jobs. We're talking about returning better jobs. Meaning, yes, we might lose net jobs, but we're going to have better ones as a result. We're going to have manufacturing. We're going to have things like, right now, what we're seeing with the AI boom, we're seeing tech centers blow up. We're seeing so much RAM being bought. The price of RAM is through the fucking roof right now. So, yeah, I'm going to pull up Grok here just to have it ready in case I got to do any stuff here. What do we got? Oh, so Nanfan is against tariffs. Yeah, Nanfan, well, that's how he starts out, but then he admits several tariffs that Biden did were okay. So he's all over the fucking place. But he's basically, his first 3 points are just general statements and things generally even the Trump administration probably agrees with. Like, we should have a plan. Tariffs are generally bad. We don't want to move back in technology. But there are some reasons that we want to have them in place. What was the fourth point again?
To believe in theory that tariffs will be a net job loss, and the empirical evidence supports it. We have good reasons to believe in theory that tariffs reduce productivity, and the empirical evidence supports it, etc., etc. That's all I gotta say.
Okay.
Yes, overall, it's not best practice. Productivity does go down, absolutely. Jobs do go down as a whole, yes. But the quality of jobs goes up, and this is something I think I proved to him later in the debate. Manufacturing jobs generally pay about 50% more than service industry jobs, especially the most common ones. So we see better, higher quality jobs with benefits and things of that nature as opposed to just service industry jobs. So we might lose some jobs, but we have the higher quality ones. Yeah, it is right now. That's just a short-term demand. The reason why RAM is so expensive is because we're having such a massive blow-up over AI and over these web servers, and these are high-paying jobs. If you go take the CompTIA A+ exam and do both parts, you can get into a fucking $30 an hour job like that. No training, no school, nothing. You just gotta have this certification and walk into these new jobs that are begging people to come and take them. It's fucking crazy money, and this is the new blue collar that we're bringing with the AI boom to the United States. So, but yeah, so high paying, good manufacturing, and good data jobs all in the United States now. Don Von said, well, we lose more jobs than we gain, so whatever, it doesn't matter. So yeah, let's go.
Okay, well, thanks for being here. We're going to get into it. Don't worry. Non-fun, everyone. Next up, Tyler. Go ahead. Tell people who you are, what you do, and what are your thoughts? Go ahead.
Beast. Average debate enjoyer. I make videos, and I stream, and I play video games, and talk politics, and I think I'm the only left-winger on the panel here today. I'm going to be going up against Trickle-Down Non-Fon, as you just heard from, who is very big into his Reaganite pro top 1% earns. We just look at the aggregate numbers overall and don't worry about the middle class losing grounded value and good paying jobs. You know, they can go be in the service industry, take out record high credit card debt, work the shittiest jobs they've ever had, that don't have healthcare coupled to it at all, and, you know, whatever. Just let these other countries that run their entire industries off of burning coal take all of our jobs so we can say we did good in climate change and wash our hands of it and let the planet burn because, you know, my cell phone's a little cheaper. So I'm going to be arguing for the left-wing position here that tariffs are what unions want and need. We saw unions decrease from 28% of the private sector to 7%, and that's why unions have been backing these tariffs, including the United Auto Workers, who came out supporting the car tariff, saying it's about time because Nancy Pelosi ran on it, Barack Obama ran on it, and all of them did absolutely nothing. All right, there's the classic left-wing approach that tariffs are actually good. Reaganite free trade leaves a lot of the normal people behind. We're shipping all these high-paying manufacturing jobs overseas, and we're getting service industry jobs in return. People don't like them, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, thanks for being here, and we'll get into it as we go. Next up, Tiberius.
Trump tariffs, they're completely.
Continue.
How's that? And, you know, we're just coming along for the ride. So, you know, that's basically my position.
Okay, well, thank you for being here. We'd like to hear you, though, so you got to say it with your chest, man. I don't know what's with your mic, but it's still very low. Just turn it up, crank it up, and we'll get you in where we can. So, gang, Trump's tariffs. Let's talk about that. Most economists that I've seen say that are worried that this is going to cause a recession. I've seen people on Fox News, I've seen people across the board, Republican, Democrat, left-wing, right-wing, point to specifically Trump's tariffs as quote-unquote causing a recession. How accurate is that? Or are they...
Well, how accurate is that, Wick? Let's take a look. All right, GDP growth in 2025. About 3.3%. Stable compared to recent years. Not amazing growth, but 3.3% in the middle of a trade war. You know, no recession though. This says growth of 2 to 2.8, but the IMF says 3.3 projected, and okay, so anywhere from 2 to Q3 only, but I mean that's, if that kept up for a year, it would be 4.4 overall, but that's an annualized number, so they're taking year over year into account, but that doesn't mean necessarily the entire year was that. So it's hard to use one quarter as a year over year number unless you're doing something that iCal used to do to me, which was annualize the number. Oh no, global, not global, just US. You fucking retard program. So it shrunk in Q1. At any point was there a recession in 2025? No, there was no recession in 2025. Q4 is, they're estimating that it's going to be 2.7, but since the economists have been wrong on job reports, inflation, growth as well. So like, I don't trust that they know what the fuck they're talking about. They probably are going to underrate it again. They've been wrong in 4 sectors. What were they? Wages, inflation, economic growth, and the jobs reports. Every single month, their estimates for the CPI reports have been overestimating what inflation will be, underestimating what wages and jobs will be, and underestimating what growth will be. And every single month they've been proven wrong. So I'm going to guess that's closer to a 3% as well. I mean, that's still not a great average. Quarter 4 helps, but even if you average out quarter 4 and quarter 1, you're at like 2% growth. So let's say 3.8 for quarter 2 and 3.1 for quarter 5. You're still looking at only like a 2.7, 2.8% a year. Which isn't a recession. It's just not amazing. So I won't say Trump's first year was a booming economy, but we're cast about a recession. Oh no, fuck. I own my car and the warranty's been up for years. So that's cool. Thank you though. I actually got a new engine in my car before 2 months before the warranty ran out. Like $10,000 job, completely paid for. I paid for like a water pump and that was it. All right. So, where's my OBS again? All right, let's keep watching.
Are they just blowing smoke up our ass? Or is a recession actually a good thing for some fucking reason? I don't know. Go ahead, defend it, Tyler. I'll give it to you.
Okay, so going off of what the Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick, says is the economy is shambled, this type of reconstruction is going to create some sort of recessionary action. A recession itself will take a couple quarters. We don't know if it's going to take that long. But what he was talking about 2 days ago was front-loading, getting all these policies out there immediately, letting the economy be stumbling around while it's stumbling around from the previous administration. As we've seen the last 2 years, this crash is nothing but the norm. So why not take these things while the economy is still working itself out, re-implement them at the beginning, and work our way out from there? So it could be that front-loading recession. At the end of the day, Scott Bassett is also an economic advisor, is also saying that the current system we have with artificially low interest rates is pretty much going to collapse on itself eventually. If we have 0% interest rates, what we're doing is incentivizing borrowing to people that might not necessarily be able to afford it if we actually had interest rates. We're giving money to people that can't actually afford their loans. And it's turning out that we're getting more credit card debt, more college debt than ever. People are racking up debt with the current system. And the only people that are getting rich are the 1% of giant companies that can actually afford to do trade on the global level. This is trickle-down economics, hands down.
Okay, wait.
So I keep hammering the trickle-down economics because I was like harassing Non-Fon who says he was a neoliberal and doesn't know what neoliberalism is. Anyways, yeah, just nailed that. That was exactly what the administration said. Just leading into that, the moderator here, the guy that's asking the question, are these tariffs good or bad? Blah, blah, blah. Is it economic self-deletion, a masterful gambit, or a negotiating tactic? His first introduction into the first topic is, I'm going to ask this salacious question that is so far away from what actually happened that it's silly at this point to think that we were in a recession this year. Nobody thinks that. So he's asking about a recession that never happened, and he goes, defend it. Like, immediately, like, putting me on the back heels. I'm not even a huge Trump supporter. I'm just a moderate that likes a lot of his policies, maybe 60% of them. So it's just, I don't know. It's wild to me that he's just like, defend it. Like, that's your impartial moderator right out the gates.
Wait, real quick. What interest rate is 0%?
The borrowing interest rate that we saw over the last 20 years is not 0%, but artificially lower than it has been. 0% was an exaggeration, but before COVID, we had a 20-year period of free money, as it was called in the economic circles.
Right, so we had easy money after 2008 because the economy kind of sluggishly recovered from that. But also, this crash is absolutely...
All right, now I'm having to ask a follow-up question because he couldn't follow what I was saying when I explained it to him. We move on.
Not the norm. I think it's the 4th largest 2-day crash in history. This is absolutely something we have not seen under Biden. Dog, what are you talking about?
Yeah, it's the 4th largest 2-day crash in history. It's the 9th largest 1-day crash. If you fucking pull out some statistic like that, absolutely. But if you actually look at the stock market for the last 2 years,
don't you think
that he just got fucking deleted there. Pulling out some silly. It's the largest 2-day crash in history. Like, who fucking measures like that? Is it the largest crash in history? No, not by far, not even fucking close. It was a tiny blip. It was tiny. But he's trying to make it out to be something bigger. The largest 2-day crash in U.S. history by monetary amount, not per capita, nothing like that, nothing to incorporate inflation, just the largest number. Look, it's the biggest number to happen over 2 days. Isn't that important?
That
It's the
indicates
norm.
that isn't the norm. That isn't the norm. What do you mean? It's not normal for stocks to crash this much within 2 days. It's not normal for stocks to fall this much within a day. Like, what do you mean?
Generally, but if you look at the last 2 years, as I
Generally-
said, it's the norm because that's what's been happening. July
We did
2024.
not have stock market crashes like this in 2022 or in 2023.
In July 2024, we saw one of the biggest crashes in U.S. history up until this one.
Bigger than this one
Yeah, and
in the same amount of time.
It's a crash under Biden. Don't worry about it. It's a crash under Trump. He's ruining the country. It's just partisanship. It's so partisan. You talked yourself into being a Reaganite just to oppose Trump.
So again,
Zing! Oh, this is why this dude doesn't answer me anymore. Non-Fun doesn't answer me anymore because he gets fucking bullied. He won't respond to DMs anymore. He won't respond to me in group chats. I've only seen him on one panel in the last 3 months. I challenged him to a couple one-on-one debates. He didn't even answer. He's just completely dodging me at this point. But I'm not here to really go against him. We're gonna get to the fun part. Oh. The fun part's still coming up when the moderator decides, well, my guys are getting cooked by this dude. I need to get in there.
okay, so 2 things. One, I'm not convinced that obviously stock market crashes can have multiple causes. Some of them are the president's fault. A lot of them aren't the president's fault. I think the last one that we had under Biden, or whatever, the Kamala crash, I think that has to do with like the Bank of Japan raising interest rates. Like that's my memory of that crash, and I don't think it was as big as this one. And secondly, I'm a neoliberal. I don't claim to be anything other than a neoliberal. Okay. The idea that there's some type of contradiction between me being a neoliberal and me being pro-free trade is hilarious. It's ridiculous. There's obviously no contradiction there. Neoliberals are what they like free trade. If you don't want to come...
Okay, this is just Non-Fun. First, he reiterates what I said like I got it wrong. And then secondly, he reiterates what I said like I got it wrong because he doesn't understand my arguments. He's having trouble following along in real time. So he's really just restated what I said, but made it sound like I stated it improperly.
Only a left winger because of that. That's absurd, but or that's stupid because there are plenty of other like economic interventions that I'm in favor of. And I think generally it's fine to call me a left winger because of that. But
Okay, so
I want what's best for the middle class. I just happen to believe that free trade is what's best for the middle class. I don't believe that protectionism, which I believe costs jobs and always aggregate income and all these things, is good for the middle class.
So what you're saying is what's best for the middle class is oh fuck! Economics on that level, on the global level, make a ton of money and it trickles down to the middle class. Is what you're saying?
We don't have to jam this into trickle down. I believe that increasing job opportunities.
So again, neoliberalism is exactly that. Neoliberalism is what Reagan did. It is the trickle-down economics. It is the letting the largest companies compete on the world stage, the ones that can afford to send their goods overseas and buy goods from overseas in bulk amounts that make it worth shipping them over. This is only a tiny percent of massive companies that were able to do this for the longest time until recently when we started doing bundling. So it was only huge companies getting rich, taking in these products and turning around and selling them at a massive cut on what we used to charge. So it put all the US firms out of business by taking in these cheap foreign goods, and we essentially shipped our jobs overseas this way. It's been proven time after time. Even his best study that says it was only 2 billion jobs, it still shows it was millions of fucking jobs were lost because of this process. So I don't know. You were trying to contact quality leering. So hey, I'm Somali, my cousin's pretty fucking hot.
And lowering the cost of consumer goods is good for the middle class. That is what I believe, and I believe free trade does that.
Okay, and you're saying that other instances, like sanctions and things of that nature, aren't anti-free trade, but tariffs are.
No, I'm not saying. I think sanctions are anti-free trade, and there's plenty of sanctions that I
climate
obviously
policy?
don't support. But
What if we have climate policy, we force somebody through economic coercion or economic intervention to adopt forms of climate policy to do trade with us? Is that not free trade?
Free trade agreement.
That's economic coercion.
This is so one. I don't know if I would strictly consider that free trade. If we're
So I just challenged his premise. Basically, he dodged my point and went to, I just want cheaper goods for the consumers. So I did shift. I am attacking his credibility here. It's something I don't really like doing, but it's what WIC panels are for. I'm attacking him because he's in favor of slowing down the economy for climate. He's in favor of slowing down the economy for worker protections. He's in favor of slowing down the economy for all these other things, making goods cost more for all these other things. But in this one area, you can't even fucking fathom it. No, how could you? What? It just shows that he just kind of doesn't really have a coherent stance to stand on. Non-Fun is getting fucking roasted right now. I feel bad for him.
we're literally engaging in coercion
I didn't know I was being this mean in the moment too. I haven't watched this a second time.
to make them have some environmental regulation. But this is insane, Tyler. You do not believe that Trump's goal with this is to get other countries to negotiate on the environment. You don't believe.
Oh, time to pivot to a new subject. I'm getting cooked.
No, you don't believe
I don't
this.
care what Trump's goal is. I'm talking about the actual result of the tariffs. And if it's good, and I don't care if Trump's goal is to fucking get to the zoo. I'm talking about what's going to happen to the economy as a result.
If
pinning them down back onto
Trump's
it.
goal isn't to improve the environment or whatever. How are we like going to negotiate with these countries to improve the environment? What do you
We're
mean?
not. We haven't been. They're scaling up with coal plants. India, China are spending more money on different things that we've already banned in this country, scaling up to meet the production needs because we've shipped off their manufacturing to them. If we bring that manufacturing back to the United States, yes, it'll cost more, but at the same time, it also won't be polluting the environment because we don't run our grid off of coal.
I don't believe that's
drill, baby, drill. Are we drilling more oil?
That is the killer point right there. Like, if you actually care about the climate, then you'll want to get these jobs out of these sectors that burn coal at significantly higher rates than we do and put them back on an energy grid that runs off of something else, even though ours also runs off of coal to a large degree still. But put them on a better energy grid that's more efficient and more climate friendly, even if it costs a little bit more, right? You're for that? And he generally is for that.
as well.
Also,
Yeah.
the European Union, who we're putting tariffs on, do you think that they have less environmental regulations than us?
No, but that was going to get to all the wins that came from this. The European Union just came out 2 hours ago and said that they will match Trump on zero tariffs.
Yeah,
starting
Trump's
Monday.
rejected that
So
deal
zero.
already.
Trump rejected that deal and the deal with Vietnam, and even though Israel lowered its trade barriers, Trump still tariffed Israel. Tyler, you at least admit that the formula they used for these reciprocal tariffs had nothing to do with trade or not
Yeah,
trade?
we had a
Right?
conversation privately. I think it was stupid. I thought it was going to be way more complicated than it was.
So if the formula they use to calculate these tariffs has nothing to do with the actual tariff they impose, if Donald Trump is openly saying this isn't enough, we need to run trade.
Back to his other silly, okay, even if I grant this for you, you've literally scored no points in the debate that you disagree with the equation that the administration used to implement their tariffs. So what? So fucking what? Then go run for office, bro. This is the only point that he's made that I haven't just busted his ass on. Because it was a little bit of a silly formula, and I wanted to give him that one, but at the end of the day, it's such an inconsequential thing to argue about. Trump's bad because I didn't agree with his math equation.
Trade surpluses with these countries. Why on earth do you think he's going to accept any deal for free trade with these countries? Why would we think that? He's already rejected some.
Because he's already also gotten rid of some too. So if you're just going to cherry pick the fact that he's rejected the newest tariffs and before they even went into place, I think in his mind he'd have to go in for a couple of weeks to let these countries know, hey, this is what you get for fucking putting tariffs up against us when we were hurting economically. We're going to show you a little bit of what it's about. Maybe it's a slight spank on the ass before we take them away, but he is offering them the off ramps, and 50 countries have reached out to him, including India, the EU,
Let's
Canada.
check it out now, actually. Let's see that updated number. It's been a while. How many nations have signed new trade deals with the U.S. since April 1st, 2025? Liberation Day. Alright, let's see how many new trade deals resulted. And this doesn't speak to the quality of the trade deals. Some of them might have been shit. Alright. So fully signed, finalized, nothing left, Malaysia, Cambodia. Additional deals announced or on the stages. We got El Salvador, Argentina, Ecuador, Guatemala, Thailand, Vietnam, United Kingdom, European Union, China, and others mentioned Japan, South Korea, Switzerland, Philippines, Indonesia. That's some pretty fucking major countries. The administration said that almost 100 nations have reached out to them for deals since this day. Can you include every nation that has reached out and their current progress? Alright. Granted, the administration does bloat their numbers up quite a bit. The amount of the trillions of dollars invested in the United States that Trump has got saying is 20 trillion. I think it's only 7 to 9 right now, which is still a lot. It's still a great amount, but you have this awesomely massive news, and you kind of spike the football when you inflate the number past what you can prove. I don't know. I don't think Trump's out there making his statements so that people online can defend him. I don't think he cares. So, I'm not going to defend that. lot of it is promised until I see something on paper. I'm not confident though. All right. Okay, so it's a bunch of smaller nations. No official list for all. A lot of these smaller nations apparently just got streamlined deals and accepted the 10% tariff, and that was it. Accept the 10% tariff, don't do anything about it, and that's it. So that's really all it is this 10% baseline tariff. We'll take a look at that and see if it's worth it. Okay, so now it goes through all these nations. Oh, we have a lot more. Oh, that's a lot more. Okay. All right, still chugging. Let's take a look. Argentina framework. Tariffs lifted on Brazil on some things. Just a few products, though. Canada agreed to negotiate post-elections. Retaliatory tariffs dropped. Still ongoing. Ecuador. Done. El Salvador done. Guatemala done. Mexico. Still talking about autos and steel. Australia. No specific date. Bangladesh. Received tariff letter. Reached out on a... Doesn't really say. Reached out affected. What does that mean here? Oh, so they're intending to negotiate. All right, gotcha. Reach Brunei? What the is that a country? Yeah. Where is it? It's like an independent country off the coast of Indonesia, huh? Interesting. I didn't know that. Cambodia. Partial deal closed. 1 year truce with China. India cutting tariffs on $23 billion in imports. Penalized for deals with Russia over energy. Sanction evasion. That's another good point. I should be bringing up in my sanctions argument of why this Venezuela thing happened. This is another one. We have a 50% tariff imposed on India just for giving Russia energy. Indonesia, reduced tariffs, partial deal. Okay, so yeah, there's a ton of partial deals here, a lot of big stuff being done. And these are all the major countries. Apparently a bunch of other countries in the Caribbean and Africa and whatnot just kind of accepted blanket agreements to basically just accept the 10% baseline tariff, and that's it. Because they're probably not equipped to be... They're developing nations. So that's pretty good numbers there. And that 10% baseline tariff is... We'll see how much has Trump brought in from the 10% baseline tariff so far. And this was during the trade war too, where we saw trade fluctuating. I'm sure, like, if we just look at this quarter, 200 billion collected from all tariffs. The majority of 200 billion collected was from the 10%, right? Since the baseline tariff began, the majority of the 200 billion in the collection stems from the post-Liberation Day regime, including the 10. Oh, so IEPA tariffs are like 130 billion potentially, so that's the majority. So the 10% baseline, let's just say 50 billion has been brought in as a result. Oh my goodness. Ugh. Pentuple, you still here? Where are we at? Okay, let's keep going. We're only 15 minutes in.
All sorts of countries have reached out and said they'll drop their tariffs. So if 50 of 170, some of the biggest countries in the world are saying they're going to drop their tariffs, how is this not a victory?
Wait, so just to be
Yeah,
clear, the whole plan is to...
Hold on, let's Snail in. Snail, go ahead, please. And use your big boy voice, remember?
Yeah, I'm just curious because I thought we're on the pro-tariff side. We're saying actually the ultimate goal is to have deals with no tariffs. We want to get rid of the tariffs eventually. So is it just a negotiation tactic, or are tariffs good? Which is it? They can't be both.
That we got to get into details because there's 3 different types of tariff that have been put out using 2 different types of policy. If we want to get into the tariffs that have been used fentanyl, we have the risk tariffs, one that got voted down recently on the Canadian border. Those are for different reasons. Trump's getting concessions out of those countries. Other than Canada, I can give you exactly what the concessions are for each one of those, and most of them we've gotten them. The other tariffs he's talking about, the 10% flat tax, people inside his administration are saying that needs to happen to make us have a competitive edge in these countries. Even if they don't do reciprocal tariffs, that 10% is going to give us a manufacturing bump that we needed to undo some of the work that's been done over the last 50 years. Because again, in the 1960s, we're at 30% manufacturing.
Yeah, that sounds
So I
fine.
can wait.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to reply to that 1960 30% manufacturing point at some point. But I mean, look, Tyler, come on. You can't tell me every time Trump comes on the stage and rages about the trade deficit, rages about what you just said, he wants to bring manufacturing back. It pulls out of the free trade agreement we're going to have with the Trans-Pacific nations. You can't tell me this guy just wants free trade with these countries when he says tariffs are the best word in the dictionary over and over. Come on, man.
Yeah, I watch him speak, so I know exactly what he's saying. And these things he's not saying. I love free trade. Free trade is the best thing in the world. He's saying these are awful deals. We're getting ripped off. He came out against TPP.
Hold on. Oh, you got a letter from the White House. That's pretty cool. It was probably auto pen though. Let's be honest. Oh, yeah, I look really stoned on the stream here. I am very stoned on the stream here, just to be clear. But I look it. So yeah. Oh fuck. What were we arguing about here?
He wants to bring manufacturing back. It pulls out of the free trade agreement we're going to have with...
Yeah, okay. This is, again, non-fun's just confused. He doesn't understand that these tariffs aren't all one policy with one goal. And when I try to break it down, because like he doesn't understand what's going on. His big gripe was only with the reciprocal tariffs, not the. He didn't say a single word about the baseline tariffs. Only reciprocal tariffs and the calculation that they use and the fact that we're tariffing our allies and blah blah blah. He never brought up the baseline tariffs. He never brought up the fentanyl tariffs. And there's more too. There's like movie tariffs now. I think there's like 7 different tariffs out there generally. There's the fucking precious metals tariffs and shit too. So like Trump went hard with them. But this was like right after Liberation Day when we were just seeing, I think the auto tariff was one of the ones that came out before this. And then all we got is the reciprocal and baseline after that. So we don't have the metals tariff yet or anything.
with the Trans-Pacific nations. You can't tell me this guy just wants free trade with these countries when he says tariffs are the best word in the dictionary over and over. Come on, man.
Yeah, I watch him speak, so I know exactly what he's saying. And these things he's not saying.
No, non-Fon's reading his mind. He said tariffs are the best word in the dictionary, and that he likes tariffs, so that means he doesn't like free trade at all. Like, he's flat out saying these reciprocal tariffs are reciprocal because they've been doing shit to us. That's why they're fucking called reciprocal tariffs. And he's like saying that they're not there to be reciprocal.
I love free trade. Free trade is the best thing in the world. He's saying these are awful deals. We're getting ripped off. He came out against TPP, and that was one of the major reasons why Hillary Clinton had to reverse her stance on something she helped negotiate because it was so unpopular when he came out against it. This is something that people want, and you might not, like everyone, blah blah blah. You might not like democracy at all and want to just rule by fiat, but we have a democracy here, and people want this to go in the direction. Maybe I'm not saying free trade is bad. I'm not saying there's not benefits to it. I'm saying the pendulum has swung too far to this direction, and it needs some pullback. And this is the welcome pullback. I didn't say fiat. I'm accidentally. My bad.
I mean, to be clear, I like
Fiat's
democracy
fine,
generally.
Okay, I don't know the.
Define fiat. I think that was, is that correct? Yeah, fiat was right. An authoritative command or order to do something. Yeah, he wants to rule. I don't care what the people want. That's okay, unless you want to rule by fiat. Yeah, that was perfectly fucking fine. I don't know why someone in chat called me out for that, but I'm such a nice, believing, gullible person, I just went with it, because that just shows how fucking amazing I am. If the dogs start bothering people saying something, I'll go out and beat the shit out of them. With prejudice. Oh, I gotta refresh my stream, I lost the chat. There we go. Okay, let's keep going.
The fiat joke, but just kind of center things a little bit, right? Let's talk.
Wait,
okay,
please.
finish your point, but then I want to center things. Go ahead.
Okay, listen. First of all, I like democracy generally. It's just that, like, when considering whether something is good or bad, I don't really care, like, you know, if voters think this thing is good or bad. And also, this is going to take a second, sorry, wait, but I just don't buy into the idea that the reason the manufacturing share of employment is lower than it was in the 60s, whatever, is because of trade. A lot of it is, one, we've just gotten more productive. The country that lost the most manufacturing jobs in the past 100 years has been China. China's still the manufacturing, powerhouse of the world or whatever. They just got more productive. The same thing happened in the U.S. That's why manufacturing output grew all the way up until 2008. Well, the manufacturing share of employment was falling down. Employees got better at making more things. And we've also, along with that, just moved higher up the value.
Hold on. I want to check something. Manufacturing output for the last 50 years less. Because I don't think it's really gone up at a staggering rate. I think it's like just kind of been trickling up in the last 40 years. I got 40 years. Yeah, I guess it isn't. 1.3 trillion, 2.4 trillion. That's, I don't know, alright. As a percent of GDP, though, it's been shrinking from 16% to 10%. So it's going up. We are producing more, but it's definitely shrinking significantly as a percentage of our economy. Like, we're losing these jobs, and he's tap dancing around saying that because he knows how fucking unpopular it is to ship jobs overseas.
Chain. A lot of the manufacturing jobs in the U.S. now are making, like, highly specialized, high value-added stuff. It's not even jobs that a lot of high schoolers can get anymore, because these are jobs that require a lot of knowledge and training to do. And the last thing is that this is a pattern every developed country, including the ones like Germany and South Korea, which have strong manufacturing sectors and trade surpluses, have followed. They follow the same pattern: a continued decline in agricultural employment, a continued rise in service sector employment, and the manufacturing share of employment following an inverted U-shaped path. It rises at first, it peaks, and then it falls. Every advanced economy has followed this pattern. There are structural reasons behind it. If you want to read the book about it, read Behind the Curve by Robert Z. Lawrence.
Okay.
But it's a normal path for all advanced economies to take, and it's dumb to try to reverse it.
Okay, who's blue shirt? It's Snail G. Okay, thank you for the 100 bits. Let me read these things. And
Every economy has gone through it, so let's keep doing it because there's a book out there that says we should. This is the appeal to authority. I mean, it depends on how fair I'm being, and I'm not being very fair at all right now. If you can't cite the fucking argument in the book and you just said, well, it's this way because it is this way, and there's a book about it, read it, you're not making a good argument. You're losing this debate. If you actually can say, well, this book of experts, economists says this, this, and this, and here's why, and if you want to disagree with them, you can, that's an argument. But he just says, this is good because I say so, and this book agrees with me, deal with it. And it's like, yeah, so what if this happens? Like, there are good reasons for it, but there are also bad reasons, and we've swung too far in that direction. We're now at 80% service industry jobs. People don't want this shit anymore. He's saying too fucking bad for them. It's like, that's okay, bro. I mean, you can say that all you want, but here we are with Trump in office again, and you can't figure out why. But when people tell you, we don't want your system anymore, we don't care how it trickles down, he's just like, oh, well, Does this guy on the top right there? Yeah, no, I think that he is just waiting for somebody to come to the door so he can approve them to the 1970s Italian club in New York City. I don't know what the fuck his thing is. Yeah, dude, he looks like a 1970s mafia movie character. And Tiberius is just sitting down there being polite. He starts yelling later. We're gonna skip it though because he quit streaming, so I'm not gonna critique him.
We're going to give it to Tiberius D here. And then I do have a question to maybe get us on track a little bit. $5 from Deej Nuts to say, even with crashes, stocks are up almost 100% since COVID. 98% of that isn't held by retail investors. The average youngin view it as ill-gotten gains. Thank you for the $5. $5 from Artemis Fowl. Welcome back, Artemis Fowl. Free trade was great for the middle class. Just asked a Rust Belt after we implemented NAFTA, idiot. And then $5 from Artemis Fowl. EU offered 0% tariffs on construction materials, not a blanket 0% overall. That isn't worth taking somewhere EAE, the flat rate. Thank you for the $5 and thank you for the 6-month membership, Deej Nuts. I'm an engineer with no degree. He is wrong. And then $2 from Deej Nuts. Was a $5 trillion post-COVID from productivity? ? Thank you for the money. But let's give the mic to Tiberius to weigh in and we'll see what he has to say. Go ahead.
I appreciate that. So defending Trump to at least some degree. While I think that Trump's tariffs definitely can be recessionary, is there any good in this? And I'm going to have a crazy take here, but I'm going to throw it out. If you ever wanted to purposely start a recession in politics, this is when you want to do it. At the very beginning of a term, at the very beginning of any of this system, is where you are basically putting yourself on the back foot so you can advance forward for the rest of your term. Do I think it's smart?
Hurt the middle class. The lower class is going to not get affected.
And the middle class and the lower class isn't really going to be affected. Do we believe this? Is this true? Why or why not?
I did not say the lower class is going to not get affected. They're absolutely, like, if you put a new tax in, you put new climate policy in, you put new worker regulations in, it's absolutely going to raise the cost of production and it's going to hurt the middle class in the short term. We're not going to deny that.
Okay. But let's talk about the stock market specifically. Does the stock market losing value matter to most Americans? Why or why not?
Yes, because we should have 401ks. We should have investments in the stock market. Most people will just invest in their work 401k, have it in the bank, and that is
Does
the
it
stock market.
matter? And fucking Italian mafia guy says, yes, it matters because we should do this. Like, even though I agree with his point, it's a fucking terrible answer to the question. Like, it matters because people are doing it and their retirements are based in the stock market. It's very important. But he doesn't say that. He says, it's a good thing because we should be doing something with it, implying that they aren't. It's just a bad answer. Like, that's all I got is it's a bad answer, dude. You're dumb.
Market. So you might not realize it, but if you all check on your 401ks
Poor
today,
guy.
you'll find them about 10 to 15% lower than a few months ago, which is crazy. For one person's actions to have a 10 to 15% reduction in your retirement savings. If you were due to retire soon in the next few years,
Okay,
you're
guess
basically
what?
screwed.
They're at
You just
all-time
lost
highs
10 to
now,
15% of your retirement time and savings.
Any
I'll
other-
split hairs here.
Yeah, I mean, I think
It's definitely beneficial to have a 401k. I'm not going to push against that because I want to afford that going into the future. Is that 401ks are better than Social Security? But on the other side of that is that for the majority of Americans, no, this is not a huge issue. The last numbers I can get is that about 73 million Americans have a 401k. So you're basically talking about the top 30%. I totally get if you have the rest of the country saying, "Hey, you rich folks and your middle class folks can get fucked because I've been eating shit for the last 4 years." I can roll with that conversation. I definitely can.
Non-Paul,
I
you
mean,
wanna- go ahead.
yeah. So look, I mean, not everyone has a 401k. But if people have a 401k, it matters quite a lot to them. But I think the stock market reflects a lot of uncertainty right now. It reflects, I think the CNN has their fear index. It reflects the fact that people are fucking losing it because not only are they worried about tariffs, they don't even know what tariffs will actually go into effect. And we know that uncertainty is just generally pretty bad for the economy. It reduces investment. It reduces consumer spending. Part of the reason that GDP now forecast is down all the time is because businesses are investing less. Business investment has stopped growing. I mean, it's great. I think it's like 0.4% last time.
I mean, it's a fair point. He's just making a mountain out of a fucking molehill. Yeah, uncertainty's not good. Absolutely. It hurts the markets. People don't like it. It slows down investment. There's all sorts of downsides to that. But it's factored into the whole trade war decision. The cost, cost harm reduction, cost harm equation. I don't know what the fuck it's called. I'm high. But yeah, it's all factored in. Like this is already part of the... Yes, this is going to do X, Y, and Z, which are bad things, but the long-term result is going to be blah, 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 and we're going to take in $200 billion worth of money from, I guess, U.S. payers, but people that decide to buy foreign goods over U.S. goods, which means a lot of that shifts. A lot of that shifts to buying U.S. goods. That money stays localized instead of having some rich company overseas take our money out of our economy and then come back and reinvest it so they can get even richer from our economy. Like, at the end of the day, it is a plus, but I would rather have those being American-owned businesses. And I think that showing preferential treatment to American businesses to ensure that is something that's perfectly all right. Several other nations do it. There's what is that fucking, oh man, I'm forgetting all my nouns now. There's a sovereign wealth fund where they do take a certain amount from businesses and they'll constantly give local businesses in their country exemptions to have to pay into the sovereign wealth fund, but won't give that to imports in the same sectors. So nations are already giving preferential treatment to their people. This is just us doing it too. It's Trump's favored nations policy. America's going to get treated the best with our policy. And I like it. personally, I fucking like it, and I think every American should. We should be advocating for America with our American government. It's a good fucking thing. I don't understand why that's controversial to anybody that's not anti-America.
Or whatever I checked, last time I checked. Consumer spending, I believe, is also slowed down in growth. It reflects uncertainty, and uncertainty is bad.
So business spending is up from last month. Actually, this leads into a good point. Trump says there's a promised $5 trillion of investment spending in the United States from foreign companies. We're talking centrifuges and chips from the #1 Taiwanese company, Apple building a 22,000 job plant in Texas, and then a trading facility in Detroit. There's about $5 trillion.
That's another good point. Thanks, me. Good fucking looks, me. Another result of the tariffs is the investment. I did bring it up earlier. I think it's like 9 to 11 trillion after factoring for inflation. So I think it's less than that actual money amount, but that's still very good to see that as a result. Some of these trade deals have resulted in more spending on United States goods and more investment in the United States. I think it's a good thing. Again, this is still foreign investors coming in and making U.S.-owned businesses. I would much rather something more CHIP Act centric, like that props up the United States businesses. Granted, it's much more efficient to do it through the markets, but I want something that props up United States owned and run businesses to have that same amount of technology. I'm sure in 5-10 years they're going to have it with all the amount of investment going into all this, but I don't know, something just rubs me the wrong way. It's not a bad thing, it's just I would much rather it be a US based company than a foreign company coming in to manufacture in the United States. Just favorite nations. Why not America first?
$1 trillion in investment, building, and whatnot that's being rushed through the EPA right now. So they just look at these current numbers and then kind of ignore everything that's coming down the pipeline that's predicted to come out around Q2, Q3 is when we start seeing these numbers come in. It doesn't compute. Like, Trump can only move so fast when he's doing so many things. He's had roundtable meetings with all these business leaders. He's had his tariff team. He's had Scott Betsett and Steve, and what the fuck is his name?
Oh yeah, hey, look at that. Q3 when those numbers came in, just like I said, 4.3% growth that quarter. So you know what? Nailed it.
The Secretary of Commerce talking with these companies personally, they were well aware of these tariffs beforehand, before they made their investments. They know exactly why they're investing in the United States. We're seeing a ton of manufacturing coming out, record number. Again, $3.5 trillion has already been signed up in like 2 months. So to say there's no investment while we're doing record-breaking investment spending is just wild to me.
All right, let's go back to Grok here real quick. Of the 20 trillion Trump claims came into the U.S. economy a result of his trade policies, how much actually has come in and how much is promised versus what Trump is exaggerating. Grok going slow. Come on, Grok. I just asked you this question like a couple of weeks ago and it was much faster than this. Maybe it's like peak Grok hours or something. This is Grok traffic time. 18 to 22 he cited. Started at 3 trillion in January, reaching 10 trillion in May, 17 trillion, now it's like 22 trillion. Well, that's a pretty big fucking number. 5.4 trillion in 2025. It's still way off of what he's claiming, but a very large number. The White House says that it's officially 9.6 trillion in pledge since January 2025. Often multi-year ties and trade deals. So yeah, they're puffing those numbers up. 7 trillion in real investment commitments. So they have 9.6 trillion in documents. That's over a long amount of time. 7 trillion roughly guaranteed. Still a very good number. And most of this is the result of the trade policy. You see these. He goes to fucking Saudi Arabia, comes back with a new deal. He goes to fucking here, comes back with a new deal. Goes to there, comes back with a new deal. Fucking, you're seeing it happen in real time. So, all right, I gotta go and tinkle real quick. So I will be right back. Gotta deal with the fine jazz of my chill stream. Yeah. All right, we back. All right, we back. Let's go.
Just because it hasn't.
What do you mean? I'm saying it is true. If you check the GDP now forecasting, I probably find the archived version. Part of the reason it's low is that business investment in aggregate, obviously, was it's still technically up, but it's like zero. It was 0.0.
Yeah, it went up.
But like it was like 0.4% growth. And look, like again, this is gonna go back to trade is a type of technology. It's gonna go back to actually two things. One, there are mutual benefits from trade, and trade is just a type of technology. This investment that's happening, that is one, arguably deadweight loss, right? Because we're spending our own domestic resources making things that we could be importing for cheaper, right? Like there's no reason to have that distortion. You're hurting a ton of other industries by doing that. You're reducing investment in other industries and shifting that investment towards protected industries. There may be reason to do that if there's national security concerns, but like having that Japanese investment SoftBank or whatever do shit was not a national security concern. Actually, and that was foreign direct investment. That wasn't even like domestic investment or anything.
That leads us into intent, though. Why is Trump doing this? Why is Trump telling Mexico and Canada, because of the USMCA that he wants to restructure, that since China found a loophole in the USMCA to put a bunch of investment into Mexico, they're now shipping things past the tariff through Mexico into the United States again? He's asking both of those countries to tariff. A lot of these countries around, what we're seeing is a 60% tariff coming into effect against China in a minute here. This is causing people to massively decouple. When they did decouple last time, they went to Vietnam, they went to other countries. So you can see these tariffs going on all the other countries they went to because they're not coming back to the United States. They just go to the next cheap haven. So every cheap haven needs to be cut off in order for them to come back to us. And they have been. He's also threatening a 100% tariff if you leave the country as a U.S. company.
Like, so Trump signed the USMCA.
That's actually probably unconstitutional.
Yeah.
Like,
And then they
Hold
found
on, real quick.
Hold on,
They found a loophole.
but just real quick. Why do they have to come back at all? Right, that's my question. Right, like so, if they can't go and they can't get it for enough profit margin, what's to stop them saying, okay, well, we'll just do other things. We're not gonna produce that anymore. It's not gonna make enough money. Why would we do
somebody
it?
else is going to step up and do it. It's a basic law of capitalism. If there is a demand, a supply will rise to meet it. So if, like,
As long
if
as it's
one company says they
affordable to
wanna-
do so, right? But when you
Yeah,
have
yeah,
protectionists,
absolutely.
that exists in a free trade.
Dumb question, Wick. If like there's fucking billion-dollar things that cost tens of $1 millions in the United States, like they just won't be able to manufacture it for the poor. They won't have a poor version. It'll be a thing of affluence, but they'll still be making it. It'll just cost more. Like this is just retard take.
System. When your system is no longer a free trade system and you have protectionism and tariffs and taxes and all these things that are on these things, it can absolutely stifle STEMI investment. That happens all the
Yeah.
time.
Absolutely, that's the whole reason.
I love the ultra-libertarian take here that taxes and regulations and worker protections and climate protections are all not capitalism anymore when they don't like tariffs. But then they're in favor of all that shit.
Why people
Oh,
want-
wait, real quick.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so my point was about, again, think about the aggregate business investment. No one is denying that if you tariff industries, you're going to shift investment away from unprotected industries and towards protected industries. Very directly, tariffs have mechanisms for hurting other sectors, right? Like, tariffs hurt exports because they tend to appreciate exchange rates. They tend to make the price of the dollar go up. That's not happening right now because people are freaking the fuck out and dumping their dollars. But generally, they make the price of the dollar go up, and that hurts export industries, right? And secondly, your point about I want to mention the point about the cheap haven part. They just go to the next cheap haven or whatever. I will mention what that does is it undoes a lot of progress that my goat Biden made with friendshoring, okay? There are probably industries that we don't want to be made. We don't want, production to be in China, but we doesn't really matter if production of steel or whatever is taking place in Japan or South Korea, our allies. If you tariff these other countries, production doesn't want to move there, even though it would be beneficial for us if the production moved there. Like, he's tanking our relationship with our allies. Also, we can crash our own economy. It's fucking it's absurd. Like,
hold on. So I'm going to address both your points.
So another just random thing made up, tanking our relationship with our allies when we're all allies still. Here we are, end of the year, fucking 9 months later. Everyone's allies. It turns out we're all just in negotiations for trade that countries have all the fucking time. Just another made-up, fear-mongering point by a dude that's flailing and keeps shifting to a different argument every time he talks.
What productivity means is using coal as energy, paying your workers lower wage, no worker protections or consumer protection. Like what you're saying by productive, that you mean finding a loophole through all the things I advocate for here. So that, and the second thing you're saying is like, if yes, they're gonna go to our friends over there. Maybe they're gonna go here, there, the other place. But at the end of the day, those countries also have tariffs against us too. South Korea, Japan also have tariffs. If they're our friends, why are they tariffing us? And why can't Trump put tariffs against them and see over 50 countries come to him and offer to drop them? It's working.
I'll let you answer that,
You agree
non-fun, and then
the
we're going to
level-
go tiebreaker. So answer the question, then to tiebreaker.
yeah, so, I mean, you agree that the level of tariffs that Trump is imposing is nowhere near reciprocal and not even based on the tariffs that they are applying to us. It's
Again, back to this point, I've already granted, and it's so minuscule it doesn't actually win him anything in the grand scheme of the argument.
fucking absurd, obviously. The reason they have tariffs is in some part because, just like any country, there's going to be some level of special interest group capture and like rational ignorance on behalf of consumers because tariffs have concentrated benefits and diffuse detriments, right? A lot of times special interests can lobby to protect their industry because it's not rational for consumers to look into what industries are being tariffed because it's just, they are only paying like $30
So people are
per
dumb,
year
in
per
other
consumer or
words.
whatever. It's rational. It's actually, well, no, they're not. It's
Special
actually
interest.
rational. It's not worth their time to look into what industry.
That's Wick's favorite. If people are dumb. Non-fans is, they're not dumb, they're lazy. They're making a cost-benefit analysis to look into what policies are supported by the people they vote for. And people, they just don't do that. They just don't look into policies, you know? Everyone's just clueless and voting on vibes. He's basically just calling them dumb and lazy without saying that. No, they're not dumb and lazy. They're dumb and lazy. What do you think? I wouldn't call them dumb and lazy. I'm calling them dumb and lazy.
Industries being protected because it's such a diffuse benefit or detriment.
Did you answer the question? If so, we're going to go to tiebreakers.
He answered it. No.
Tiebreakers. Go ahead.
I want to answer your question, Wick, on just like why would you do this? Like, what's the actual benefit? I'm gonna hit this from the side that I'm kind of convinced of, and I studied economics in college. Granted, I don't have a huge degree or anything. I'm kind of a layman. But this is based upon the idea that you think comparative advantage is actually horseshit. Largely, just simple terms is that if you all trade, it's the same way in that if I specialize in a particular job and you specialize in a particular job, we're going to have mutual benefits from, you know, doing those things. Countries can do the same. But the assumption of why this would be wrong is that the same thing does not apply on a macro level. Is that you can have entire countries with 1 billion people who make 1/3 or 1/5 of what you do, or maybe even 1/10, and they can front load every economic doctrine that you have to where they're actually losing out money. Year after year after year. Not only have we seen advancements to China over the last 30 years be somewhere in the neighborhood of like $50 trillion, but we're still paying them for their goods at the same time. And some people are like, hey, why is it that I keep getting promised this new opportunity, this new golden era with free trade, and I lost.
Yeah, I have to skip Tiberius here, sorry, but his point is good. He's saying essentially Non-Fon's argument is, I like free trade so much I'm not going to punish any bad actors that violate the free trade compact because we need free trade, so just let them get away with it.
I don't necessarily agree with that.
Okay, yeah. So even the higher end estimates I've seen are like, you know, maybe 5 million lost due to like the China shock or whatever, and that's even that I think is an overestimate because that's not necessarily accounting for productivity. But like, I mean, on the wages point, again, you have to think about the aggregate and you have to think about the other static and dynamic benefits from comparative advantage. Okay, so when we trade with other countries, everyone's real wage mechanistically increases because the price of goods falls. That saving will then allow consumers, well, I mean, that'll mechanistically raise wages, obviously. Those savings will either let us consume more or save more, which will help businesses invest. And like, that's a good thing. You also got to think about what happens.
He's just explaining this so poorly. He's right here in a sense, saying essentially, when the cost of living goes down, your disposable income goes further, well, all your income goes further, and you have a higher percentage of your income as disposable. So he's right, at the end of the day, speaking in aggregate, yes, everything is cheaper. You're right. And he keeps going back to that. Well, everything's cheaper though. So ignore the fact that they're doing bad things because everything's cheaper. Like, just let them get away with it. Everything's cheaper.
Happens to the export sector. When we supply countries with dollars via trade, that enables them to buy U.S. exports and or invest in the U.S., which again will help businesses invest.
Ironically, his exact stance on illegal immigration as well. But having a second-class citizens doing our slave work for us, our fucking cleaning for us, and scrubbing the toilet, it makes everything cheaper. So just ignore the laws.
and it'll help the export sector. It'll raise wages in the export sector as well. And again, we know we have good reason to believe in theory why trade increases income, and guess what? Empirical evidence supports it. There are like 3 different studies I have, all of which say trade increases income in aggregate, and there's also evidence that it actually disproportionately benefits the poor because the poor spend more on imported goods. A higher percentage of their income is spent on imported goods.
Nobody's arguing this shit.
I have a hard time believing at least one point of this, and is that like I can agree with most of some trade some allow for cheaper goods to enter our domestic market. We can talk about how we have more efficiency within our market, and therefore we're allowed to assert capital into different directions of investment. The problem that I have, and this is kind of where I kind of don't believe some of this is actually as good as people like to sell it off for, is that look who tends to make all the fucking
it's bare minimum and it's not good. But go ahead.
Look, I get that. The thing is like I don't understand what the alternative that's being supported by the other side actually is, because if you're talking about some of these higher end jobs where it's like, hey, you got your master's or your PhD and you go off to be part of like the academia things. Why is it I'm spending way more for a house? Why is it that I'm spending way more for a car? Some of
College, healthcare.
Yeah, like a lot of these things when they add up, it's not even fucking close, even adjusted for wages.
So it makes sense. It obviously makes sense why the price of services would rise over time compared to the price of goods. It's called the Baumol effect. It's called cost disease. Believe it or not, that makes it.
Yeah,
that makes
I
sense.
get the ratchet effect and all that shit, right?
Wages are stagnant, correct?
No.
Wages are stagnant.
No.
I mean, I'm not even gonna take that. Like, it's not that wages are stagnant. It's just expenses are fucking explosive compared. And what's this is the crazy part for me, because it's one of those things where the most expensive thing for the average American is what can make them the most money. Asset inflation has been huge.
I've argued with Donafon a lot in the past, and he has said to me in the past that wages were stagnant. So, I mean, that's why I brought that up like that, because we've argued this exact topic multiple times, and he has made that fucking claim. And now when he needs to shift, it's time to take a different answer.
For 40 years. Most of that is your car, most of that is your house, but that can go into other things, right? That can go to stocks and bonds and the whole 9 yards. If you have those things and you're able to materialize those into financial gain.
Because they have cheaper goods, that's going to increase the amount of money they can spend on other things.
I completely understand the talking point.
If jobs,
you just keep repeating the same thing over and over.
Yeah, like you have
because your mind is broken and you're not thinking in aggregate.
We're blind to it. We're blind to it.
Some people's wages would be increased by tariff. That makes sense to me, but you're thinking in partial equilibrium, okay? You have to consider all the other jobs that are going to see increased wages because of free trade. All the price of goods going down because of free trade. That's going to increase demand in the long run.
You're basically making everyone else in the country poorer to improve the Rust Belt. And I can understand why that might be appealing for Rust Belt people, because you spent the last 30, 40, 50 years, whatever, seeing, like you mentioned, jobs leave, towns empty, ghost towns. That stuff is very visceral. I can totally sympathize with that. And a lot of those jobs end up going to service sector economy jobs in cities, New York, LA, whatever. And it's a lot more visible to see your town decrease by 90%.
They're right. Like, yeah, trickle down economics does do that. You take all your jobs and you ship them overseas and produce goods at the cheapest amount. And the countries that can afford to invest in overseas building and maintaining and manufacturing and then shipping as well, bring their cheap goods over here and distribute them to the rest of us. So they price out everybody in those sectors that's not able to do that. You either buy our products or you go out of business. So they get to basically, it's a form of oligopoly, and they keep them cheap. It's not like they're abusing it, but the fact that they're the only ones able to participate in this means that they're shifting all these smaller businesses out to make everything cheaper, to make a couple of businesses rise to the top. The rich keep getting richer, and there's nothing left-wing about this. And all three of these dudes against the tariffs say that they're left-wing. Tiberius is the only one that claims to be right-wing here, and he supports tariffs for the similar reason, because he's more of a whatever, I'm not even going to go into that, but he's a pre-Reagan right-winger.
Than it is to see New York and LA get 10% more productive. I can agree and understand with all of that. I just feel like
let him finish. Let's Neil finish, and then you can reply. Go ahead.
I just think the problem is that's a result of the actual supply side economics that Reagan did, where he just cut taxes on wealthy people. Where I think we need taxes in terms aligned with productivity. So as productivity goes up, and as these top 10%ers are making more and more money, we need to tax those gains and redistribute the wealth so that these people don't feel left out. Because, like I mentioned, all these jobs went from the Rust Belt to tech companies basically, and tech companies have really only benefited coastal cities, big cities, and Middle America kind of got lost in all that. And like you mentioned, your alternative is just these shitty service jobs in the town that don't make anyone feel good, that aren't great compared to, even for all the faults of your factory job, it felt like a secure thing that your family was part of. I can respect and understand all of that. This has nothing to do with tariffs, this has nothing to do with free trade. It's just a problem of our shitty domestic tax policy for the last 50 years that hasn't served the people, and we keep
$7, and then I'll let Tyler go, and I'll toss it to Tyler. $7 Canadian. Thank you for the Canadian dollars. I hope it doesn't get tariffed. Jeff Lewis says, I think these tariffs will lead to Mega Block 1 from Judge Dredd. Goods are going to be more expensive, and people's wages are going to go down. Thank you for the $7. Hey,
Oh
Tyler,
my
pass the
God.
mic.
Goods are always getting more expensive. Like, no matter tariffs or not, goods are always increasing in price. How we measure it is the cost of goods rising faster than the cost of wages. And when they are, then it's bad, then things cost more. But yeah, goods always go up. So yeah, but like the idea that people, what was the ending that?
Goods are going to be more expensive and people's wages are going to go down.
Wages going down. All right, hold on, let's check. How much do wages grow in the U.S. in 2025 versus inflation? I'm pretty sure it's almost like 50% higher. Okay, so we got 3.5s to 4.1s, and CPIU, we didn't get October. We don't know yet, but it could be potentially 2.7, which is what it was last month. It looks to be cooling. So let's leave it like last month's numbers at 2.7. That's about 50% higher. So wages are growing about 50% faster than inflation is growing in the year 2025. This person, I mean, sorry, you got that wrong. Sorry about we didn't get fucking Judge Dredd, bro. It's just America still.
Thank you for the
Fucking
$7.
idiot.
Okay, Tyler, we're going to pass the mic to you. You've been wanting to say something. Now's your chance.
Okay, so what Nonfon's talking about here and keeps repeating the same thing over and over. Yes, you are correct. Tiberius and I are disagreeing here. You are correct that this way is the best way to maximize GDP. 100%. You keep going back to that. Well, the best way to maximize GDP around climate is to cut all climate policy. The best way to maximize GDP when it comes to criminals is to let all criminals out of prison so they can get to work. The best way to maximize GDP across the board is always not the right answer because there's other factors besides just maximizing GDP, like the life of the people living in your country. And if you're telling them, well, over time, 30 years from now, you're going to be richer, so just suffer, it does not work. You're telling people this is the problem I have with all libertarian arguments like this, is you ignore the practical reality of the people on the ground. If the economy shifts, and it's called structural unemployment, when the economy shifts away from your choice of particular skill set and you can't find a job, when that happens, that's what our robust safety net is for. But the robust safety net taxes the people with the money to make them less productive. So your argument carried over to any other subject would be to dismantle the safety net, worker protections, climate protections, everything else you stand for.
One, I don't believe that is the case. I believe there are probably.
I don't believe that's the case. That's it. I don't believe that's the case.
It's probably positive effects of redistribution, even on growth, at least to some extent. It's the same thing with climate things. Like, I believe because carbon is a negative externality, it actually is a good thing. It actually is a pro-growth thing to tax carbon and to internalize that externality.
It's literally not. Like, everywhere carbon policy is put in place, you see growth slow down, you see inflation. Like, literally the first year of Joe Biden, where before the inflation took off, we saw gas prices rising much sooner, before there was a war with Russia, before there was, Venezuela's going crazy right now. I'll check it out after. I want to finish this as much as I can. I want to get to the part where Wick starts yelling at me. Oh shit, I forgot what I was talking about. Hold on.
There are probably, I believe there is probably positive effects of redistribution, even on growth, at least to some extent. It's the same thing with climate things. Like, I believe because carbon is a negative externality, it actually is a good thing.
There are positive effects to redistribution. That's not what I fucking said. There are definitely positive effects to growth and redistribution. That wasn't what the argument I made. He just hand waves my argument and says, yeah, you're right. But, there's also positive effects from my side too. Nobody's claiming there's no positives. What I'm fucking claiming is that the best way to maximize GDP, which is your fucking argument. Like, he just abandons his argument and shifts the goalpost on each one of these.
It actually is a pro-growth thing to tax carbon and to internalize that externality.
It is not pro-growth to tax carbon. It is not pro-growth. There's nothing to back that besides this idea that the world's going to end. And even if you're making that argument that we need to slow down the economy to help the people, that's my fucking argument. You're stealing my argument to counter my argument.
I don't see what the benefit is in keeping, artificially protecting these manufacturing jobs just so this one subset of people doesn't have some amount of structural unemployment. Like, unemployment, the labor market right now is pretty strong to begin with. Like, why are we doing, this is an insane fucking policy.
Manufacturing and production.
What?
You're leaving out production as well.
Manufacturing production. Okay, like unemployment right now is at like 4.2% or something. Like the prime age employment population ratio is like at 80% right now. The labor market generally is in a good place. I don't see why we need to have 10% fucking tariffs across the board, which I don't believe will even help the labor market, by the way, in aggregate. Again, aggregate, that's a scary word. Just to help out, what, a few 100,000 people at most that are victims of structural unemployment? There are so much better ways to do this. In what world is a...
His previous estimate that he said the highest estimates are 5 million people. And I was like, oh, it's only a couple 100,000 that we're going to help. That's it. I hope I bust his ass here. I don't remember what I said here, but it's like national security is one of the arguments. For sure. The fact that like we rely on China and China is violating every trade deal they have with us and we can't do dick about it because we're so coupled to them. National security is the best argument. It's the one the administration's been making the whole time.
10% tariff across the board, plus 50% on China, plus 20% on EU, 10% on UK, whatever. Better than just implementing, say, a 5% VAT, a 10% VAT, value-added tax, like every other country does, and just distributing some money to workers in the form of welfare.
But that's not productive.
So instead of tariffs, do a tariff. Like a VAT tax. A VAT tax functionally works just like a tariff does. It's just a different name on it.
When you put a tax on gains, you get less gain.
But
I think
it also taxes your own people as well. But again, you can just give exemptions to people locally, and they do that all the time. That's what I was trying to talk about earlier. The VAT tax, the sovereign wealth fund.
Value-added tax would be certainly more productive than the system we have now.
See, those taxes would add an extra cost, and that would make the cost of the goods go up. So when you add a tax to something,
well, no. So a value-added tax only taxes consumption on the end. The consumer doesn't actually tax any business-to-business transactions. So you're only negatively affecting consumption. And again, I already like obviously, like I would say, raising. Wait, Tyler. We both agree. If you collect money from taxes, and use it to fund a judicial system that protects property owners, that is a pro.
He just rants so fucking long and just jumps subject to subject. I didn't get the time to fact check each one of these. He basically, this is Gish Gallop, not fun Gish Gallop.
Growth thing. Taxing carbon, taxing land value is a pro-growth thing. I'm in favor of doing things that are pro-growth. It is not at all hypocritical for me to say some taxes are pro-growth. That is fucking absurd.
Okay. I guess before I give it to Tiberius here, right? Just another question.
I'm in favor of doing things that are pro-growth. That's like, this is a debate about tariffs, and all he's just going back to is these fucking vague statements that everybody would be in favor of. Bro is retarded.
Question for all of you. I keep hearing that tariffs are going to protect the working class. They're going to bring jobs back, etc. At what point?
Non-fun isn't stupid. He doesn't have to go down this debate style, but he chooses to because that's what all the people he wants to be thinks are cool do. It's fucking dumb.
The tariffs stay in place. A year from now, 2 years from now, unemployment goes up. People can't find jobs. You can get it in a certain sector, sure. We add about 10,000 steel workers to America, but then we've lost hundreds of thousands from companies who can no longer afford to make their products, who consume steel, who use steel in their manufacturing, who use steel in their production of whatever product.
We lose hundreds of thousands of jobs if we bring back 10,000 factory jobs. Oh, Jesus. But then we go look at what's happened with hundreds of thousands of factory jobs coming in just this year, and we're with the biggest loss in jobs has been government.
That's what they're going with. And at what point do we just admit tariffs don't work, right? Can you give me an example of tariffs adding jobs net to a country?
Tyler, I can't hear you.
No, we can't.
with Apple's $200 billion investment right now, they are building a plant in Texas for 22,000 jobs to make chips and centrifuges. They're also putting a training facility in Detroit.
Are they doing that because of the tariffs?
They
Wait,
no.
They
said it was a factor, yes.
This is the mind of a tariff defender. They are only capable of thinking in partial equilibrium. Only capable of thinking, guess what? Motherfucker, things have opportunity cost. Apple investing that money takes resources away from other sectors. Those resources would otherwise been invested in something that is more productive, something that would likely provide more jobs, which guess what? That's why every empirical study from Obama's tariffs.
So I'm answering Wick's question and Nanfan jumps in to spurg out about something I already know. It's just, he's just fucking losing it. He's getting cooked. Honestly, I understand why he's so mad and feels like he has to do this. He's getting fucking cooked.
on tires, from George Bush's tariffs on steel, from Trump's tariffs on steel, from the IMF doing a study of 151 countries over 50 years says tariffs reduce employment in aggregate.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Nobody's denying that.
tariffs
We've
will...
already addressed this. I'm saying the
Why-
same thing
no, no,
over and
Tyler,
over.
you answer this. Tyler, you answer this. Why then when Wick said, give me an example of tariffs adding jobs on net, did you not provide an example of tariffs adding jobs on net? And you just said that you would agree tariffs don't add jobs on net.
Because tariffs generally don't add jobs on net. Yes, because they reduce.
You say
the
generally.
service
Give me an
sector.
example of where they have for a country.
I just did, but he cut me off. So generally, yes, you are correct. That doesn't mean every single anecdote fits your generalization. I just gave you a generalization where Apple was putting their plants in other countries. They were not coming to the U.S. They came to the
Also,
U.S.
You don't know the opportunity cost of them doing so, correct?
I don't know that. I just have to go off of what they said. So do you have something that they said? Because when I looked, they said the tariffs were a factor. Do you have something they said that showed they weren't?
I understand. No, I understand the tariffs should very well be a factor in the reason that they. No, I.
The absence of evidence is evidence. That's all this is. The absence. I don't have anything, but since nothing disproves my theory is correct, and now you have to disprove it.
I'm granting you the tariffs are the reason I came here. I don't know that's true, but
Even though I'm citing what they said. I'm citing what they said, what the administration said. Those things don't matter. I made up this theory. Now you have to disprove it.
granting
what's your
there's
counterargument?
opportunity cost for the resources used
understand
to
that.
build that plant.
The opportunity cost is they're not
Otherwise
being built in
done.
Bangladesh, not the United States.
There are resources used to build that plant that otherwise probably would have gone to a more productive investment in the U.S.
Six
That is the
more
opportunity
restaurants,
cost
yeah.
I'm referring to.
Oh yeah, 6 more
Would very
restaurants.
well have added more jobs.
Okay, we have more jobs than people in the United States. It's
$2
the
from
quality
Deej Nuts.
of jobs.
$2 from Deej Nuts to say non-fun. You need a Snickers. Thank you.
Yeah, for real, just keep repeating the same thing over and over, even though it's being addressed.
Your mind. Your mind.
Yeah,
is
oh my God.
partially equilibrium.
GP is
Your mind is
I'd like to
partially
answer your question there.
equilibrium. Tyler, I've already addressed that.
I didn't get a chance to respond. The only reason why you're saying these tariffs are not pro-growth is because you're ignoring a sector where they're actually helping us grow. You're ignoring any future outcome.
Yeah, I'm exactly right. His mind is trapped in partial equilibrium. His mind can't think out.
Again, Nanfan was saying that he's in favor of taxing the rich because it has some pro-growth. Not saying in the aggregate that it's more pro-growth than less, just that it has some pro-growth. And that was his argument for being in favor of these things. Me just trying to get him to admit there is some form of growth that comes out of tariff gets him to spurg out like this. He's completely inconsistent. The reasons to stand up for the things he likes are the same reasons to dismiss the things he doesn't like. It's just... the dude's getting cooked, and the comments are coming in saying he's getting cooked.
Outside of
Like
equilibrium,
losing
he's only
low-paying
considering
jobs.
one sector where there are pro-growth. Notice denying tariffs will shift the
Are you
pressure to unprotected
are you
sectors.
done interrupting to repeat the same talking point that you borrowed from somebody else?
Because you're repeating the same thing because your mind is
You
trapped
just
in
told
partial
me.
equilibrium.
You
Gentlemen, I would like to answer Rick's questions, and you guys have just been going back and forth.
As soon as I
for
go to
like
respond,
20
you start shouting over me. So, like, you want me to respond to your comment? You're saying they're not pro-growth. That's you speculating. That's you using different studies of a different tariff that was different impact, saying that these unparalleled, unprecedented tariffs are going to follow the same study of a 1938 tariff from some fucking anti-tariff firm like Cato. Kiss my ass with that shit, dude. At the end of the day, these are helping us grow. We see $3.5 trillion of investment, record numbers of investment in U.S. growth in the last couple of months. Almost all of them are citing the tariff and Trump's economic policy for the reason they are now investing in the United States instead of Taiwan, China, Bangladesh, fucking Vietnam, the Philippines. They're all coming here. I don't understand how you can explain this by just repeating the same one talking point over and over. I've addressed your point, and you just ignore the detail.
No, just to be
All
clear,
right.
I think it's ambiguous that tariffs were even part of this. Apple cites the TSMC plant in Arizona, which was brought over as part of the CHIPS Act by Joe Biden, which was
Shut
direct
down.
investment, not tariffs. What do you mean shut down?
It's shut down. All the CHIPS Act plants, especially the one in Ohio.
Let's check this out real quick. Was I right? Did Apple say they are building plants in the U.S. because of Trump's tariff policy? Am I right here? I don't remember. They didn't explicitly say that they're building them because of the tariff policy. They just committed to this after the tariffs. No direct attribution to the tariff. So I was wrong there. What they're saying is long-standing U.S. investment and bullishness. They're glazing Trump. They're saying that Trump is making America a nation that's worthy of investing in again. They don't actually say the tariffs. President Trump and his White House repeatedly claimed credit, stating that the investments were motivated by the tariffs. They're going to build here because they don't want to pay the tariffs. Building in the United States. So I got that from Trump. And analysis noted the timing announcing the following meetings and the tariff threats, suggesting the pledge helped secure tariff relief for Apple products, which they got. So the speculation is that the reason that they signed on to this and did that so they can get iPhones exempt from the tariffs, which they got, but they never publicly stated it. So it is still speculation. I was technically wrong there. Well, I will say I was wrong there. I technically don't have facts to back my claim there.
Are currently not hiring anybody. I know 2 people in the pipefitters union trying to get into those plants. They're currently not hiring because they're looking to
There
see
might
if
be a
they
hiring freeze, but
Yeah,
the
there's-
Arizona one is absolutely functional. The Arizona one is not shut down. That's not true.
The Ohio one
I
is.
don't
I don't
explicitly
think
what
they're
Apple
waiting.
cites in that investment.
I don't-
So
This
if
is
you
a
don't
Texas
have
plant.
that-
This
Can I
is
get
a
in on
Texas
this?
plant.
Yeah, but they're using the chips from the Arizona plant and TSMC to fund
Okay.
those AI servers.
Yeah, this guy is talking about a plant that I'm not talking about. He's talking about an Apple plant in Arizona that was built prior. Are the Apple plants in Ohio and Arizona built with the CHIPS Act functioning today? Let's take a look. Yes, that one is Ohio facility. Yeah, they delayed construction, citing labor and funding, so that CHIPS Act money get clawed back essentially. So the Ohio plant is not up and running. The Arizona one is. So we're right. Like, he's right on his point. I'm right on my point. Neither of them is relevant because we're talking about the Texas and the Detroit. Was it Milwaukee?
That Arizona plant doesn't exist, then they're invested for nothing.
3
Why?
points.
Their announcement.
No, number one, I don't know why it can't be both. Like we're making it where it's more cost competitive to build stuff at home. At the same time, we're paying people to build the factory here. So I don't know why it can't be both. I don't think that's a fucking jump. Personally, when it comes to answering Wick's question, is it overall net? I can at least give you an entire industry where it absolutely has made jobs. Over the last 20 years, or not 20 years, excuse me, over the last 5 years, we have quadrupled U.S.
We're
industrial
down
spending.
five
Right?
now.
Construction
So
spending. We are making more
fucking
shit
bad.
here, and that's
But my one point! My one point! Like, again, he was using the fact that welfare and fucking climate policy generated some growth, not overall net growth, just some growth as a reason why he was in favor with them. The fact that they generated some growth. But now that we're pointing out that this also generates some growth, he's losing his mind. We're flat out admitting, no, it doesn't generate net growth.
that's not just in the
Yeah,
fact
that's
that we're building
subsidies,
here.
right?
It's got to be more than subsidies. We're talking something on the order of a factor 4. And here's the crazy part, and I can't make this a one-to-one because it's a correlation conversation, right? Is that to answer your question, how long do we have to take this before we know if it worked or not? Is that I'd say you have to take this to 2030, and you have to hope that there's actually a Democrat in office and see how many of the tariffs stick. Because I'm going to argue this crazy idea that when one of the big things that actually started a mass industrialization here in the United States during the Biden administration was he didn't remove the damn tariffs, or at least he didn't remove quite a bit of them. And because of that, is that you actually saw a lot of companies,
It
not only
looks
because
like
of
a
COVID,
John
but because those tariffs were
Stannis
here to
ring
stay, they did the math and they
Yeah, I
knew
need to go
that it was worth
home,
building here
kid.
in the United States and it was going to
I
be
got
bipartisan.
roughed up.
So my thing is, it is one of those deals where we can't half-ass this. We have to go kind of full send on it, where if somebody pulls in these tariffs, we have to keep them. And we have to keep, but our goal's the
Everyone-
same, right?
Yeah, maybe. Well, now it is apparently because people were hammering Kamala for her quote unquote wealth tax. People were hammering Democrats in general, saying they're bad on the economy because of tax increases. When like 90% of the time you dig into it, it's only tax increase for people making over like 200.
Or
Hey,
China.
I'm gonna
Has
give
had tariffs in place for
Hot-
30 years, have been growing to maybe the number 2 economy in the world.
I'll say it one more
Like
time.
something
Can
like
you
Like,
repeat?
if they've had tariffs in place for 30 years and they grew into the number 2 economy in the world, like that kind of example.
Do you think that was because of tariffs?
Like China?
It's a country name, like
I think the United States
Japan
is
or
the-
China.
Yeah, this one's a little hard. And I'm going to say that there's 2 reasons why I think that this
I just
actually
want a
works for us.
country. It's just a country name, like
I think the United
Japan
States is
or
the- I'm gonna give it
China.
hot take.
Tariffs in place for 30 years have been growing.
Okay, so Wick's question is based on long-term tariffs. What countries have resulted? Insinuating that Trump's tariffs are going to be long-term, large tariffs in other countries, which defies the whole purpose of the reciprocal tariffs. Several things we've been bringing up throughout the conversation: the trade deals and the products bought from the U.S. as a result of this trade war, and things like that. When we're talking about reciprocal tariffs, that Trump can get new trade deals and these tariffs can go away. And Wick's like, but look at the long-term ramifications of tariffs. And can you give me an example of a country that's benefited with having long-term tariffs? And it's like, we're talking about, like, the only ones that are going to be long-term are the 10% baseline tariffs. And they're saying they're doing that to reset the damage of comparative advantage, damage done by other countries tariffing us and propping up their manufacturing. We're going to prop up our manufacturing a little bit and reverse some of that damage. We're going to give them a little bit of preferential treatment. America first, favor nations, all that shit. So other than that tariff, the rest of them are supposed to be temporary. and he's talking about the long-term effects. So
Growing to maybe the number 2 economy in the world.
I'll say it one more
Something
time.
like that.
Can you
Like
repeat?
if they've had tariffs in place for 30 years and they grew into the number 2 economy in the world, like that kind of example.
Do you think that was because of tariffs?
I think it was no. I don't think there was one single factor to explain the
But do you
growth
think
of the
tariffs
entire
helped or hurt
nation.
that?
Helped.
Really? Explain.
Yes. This is one of the manufacturing hubs of the world. Why did the manufacturing see fit to go there? Why did when Trump threatened tariffs to Canada's number 2 food producer said they had to move to the U.S. because they wouldn't be able to afford to import here? Like, you have tariff move manufacturing around. That's the whole point I've been trying to make. And it's like, we're talking about like, but there's more jobs. Like if you have 250 jobs that all pay minimum wage on part-time or seasonal, and we have 8 million more jobs than people, which we have right now, people looking for
Factory
a
job
job.
pays.
A lot more than service
Hold
jobs. I
on.
think 40%
Yes.
higher. 40% higher on
You're
average.
talking-
Hold on, just real quick. All jobs in the average of all jobs, at least in the U.S., like ex-manufacturing, pays more than manufacturing jobs. So that, I mean, that includes, I guess, agriculture as well. But
Which is also something you would get rid of if you wanted.
okay, hold on. Net pay for all U.S. jobs total. No, average. Average based off net pay. 66,000. Average U.S. pay for manufacturing. Manufacturing job. That was tough. 51, okay, 58. It's pretty 51. That's pretty close. 51. That's not, yeah, that's lower. Average US pay for service industry job. Let's take a look at that. Oh, it's about $10,000 to $15,000 less a year. Huh. Well, some of them will go a little higher. Top earners do 77,000. Look at all this shit. Average is 43. Average is 51. So that's another $8,000 a year generally overall. I mean, that's really not that as bad as I thought, to be honest with you. But I mean, there's a lot more benefits that come with manufacturing jobs as well. You get your full benefits, you get your 401ks, blah, 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 blah. So things of that nature. So I think just looking at pay is maybe something I should stop doing with my arguments, but
To get rid of, if you wanted to just let these tariffs go into play, we wouldn't protect our agriculture as well. Like, why not just go to 100% service industry?
Yeah,
I mean,
everyone learn to
first of all,
code.
There's the way, please. I mean, first of all, there's plenty of
Coding
farming subsidies, farming subsidies and tariffs that I don't
Why?
support.
Yes, but why wouldn't we want to just go to 100% service industry? Can you answer that? Like, why wouldn't we just let all of our industry go overseas and just import
I mean,
everything?
like literally 100%, you'd have national security concerns over that. But I mean, I mean, like I don't see a problem with being a mainly service sector economy. Every single developed economy has followed the same pattern of a rising MES curve.
I want to wear the sneakers. I don't want to sew them and build them. I want to.
mainly service means anything over 50%. Anything where service industry is the largest group of jobs. It could have like 40% service industry and be a mainly service industry based economy based on all the different types of sectors and whatnot. But we're past 80%. We're saying it's gone too far. And he's not addressing that. He's just saying, well, some is good. Yes, we all agree some is good. It's just a shifting goalpost. He never reaches the point. He always just hand waves it off with a shifted goalpost and moves on.
I want to wear them. I don't want to
Okay, cool, here,
screw the
I guess
tiny screws in my iPhone. I want to use my iPhone.
Get your trickle down, baby. Now, what happens when, let's say,
Trickle down. I'm the one pissing all over them, right?
Let's say most of your imports for gas and energy are coming from a country called Russia, and then Russia invades one of the countries that's part of your union, and you can't sanction them because if you sanction them, it'll hurt your
Brother,
own
we
economy.
are one of the most highly energy producing nations in the fucking world right now without tariffs.
EU.
Not the EU.
I'm talking about EU. This is what
That's
the EU
the
did.
national security justification. No one is going to.
EU shouldn't have gotten rid of nuclear. They're stupid for that.
Oh, yeah. So
Okay, so I'm giving a hypothetical that they can't answer. And he says, well, they're stupid because of something else. But the point I'm making just never gets addressed.
So you're again like,
Wait, no
it's
one's Tyler.
It's cheaper. Why not just offshore your energy? It's cheaper, right?
Tyler, no one is going to deny that there are some national security justification for industrial policy, and that might even include tariffs sometimes. What we're going to deny is that that's an overall net benefit for the economy. This means it's good for national security.
So,
But also, I think broad-based tariffs probably undermine national security because they hurt
So my argument.
manufacturing. I'll give just one example. The semiconductor shit that Biden did, they're hurt by this because they rely on specialized equipment that can only be made in the Netherlands, okay?
So when China devalues its currency,
Millions of dollars.
flex-
Wait, I can reply to that. But like these semiconductor companies, have to buy equipment from the Netherlands, which is our ally, by the way, who doesn't really tariff us. They are hurt. A strategic industry is hurt by the
Look at Wick malding over there. His stupid questions got smacked down. Look at him malding.
20% tariffs placed on the Netherlands. That's not a good thing. That's a horrible, horrible, horrible thing. Again, you have to think in aggregate.
All we can do is go against the EU. We can't put tariffs directly on the Netherlands. Sorry, it doesn't work out
Okay,
that way.
the Netherlands is
Why
in the
exactly
EU,
are
as
we
I
tariffing
understand.
the
We are,
EU?
What's up?
What
Because
industry
they
are we
tariff
trying to
us.
get?
We're trying to get the tariffs dropped off at the very least. So that was like they were tariffing our cars at 10%.
they tariff us like 2%. That's also not a good justification.
10% they were tariffing our cars. We put a 2.5% and they dropped it to
Wait,
2.5%.
why are we talking about cars? I'm just talking about on average.
Because he asked a question.
So it's all about
Okay,
cars.
yeah.
That's the car industry that we want to bring from the EU back to the US. Because
But-
if you've been in the EU, their cars
Okay,
are totally
so-
different. They have different roads. They have different everything.
At least they can still buy US. We buy EU cars here all the time.
No,
we
no,
have
no.
German cars
US
all
cars
the
will literally not fit in EU streets.
Yeah,
They
we can make
change the
versions of
production
them.
their
We can
cars.
make versions of them for the EU if we wanted to.
We can, but
That all
nobody
being
wants
said,
them. That's the
yeah,
point.
that's because there's fucking tariffs on it. We can't afford to sell there.
No,
We
because
just-
it's more expensive to change the factories. No one wants to change the
Hold on.
factories
Took
for.
away Barack Obama. Korea has hundreds of thousands of cars here. We have less than 5,000 there because they put massive tariffs on it. They don't let our car companies come in and compete. That's why. That's money that was going into US dollar, into the US worker, into the US business owner's pockets that now goes into another company's pocket. They turn around, they reinvest it into stocks or into bonds or things that they can make more money from. It's not going back into the hands of the worker. It's going to the richest 1%. We're funneling money upward. It's proven in every way.
Just to be clear, Hyundai literally has production plants in the USA, in Alabama, and in Georgia. So I think that's
What the
not quite
fuck does that have to do?
$10.
with
We also have auto manufacturing plants that manufacture parts that we sell to Canada
cooking
and
these
our
fucking
offshore
retards.
auto industry plants,
I
right?
didn't
That
think I
are
was this good. I
that are
got
actually
people
going to be closing
like-
down because they can't afford to sell it anymore because of the reciprocal tariffs, right?
I never just respond to everybody. I never
Psychonaut,
answer my actual
$10, real quick, and then I can let you respond and you can have the mic again. All outlets are saying that the agricultural industry is about to be squeezed. Also, beef prices going up will hurt the consumer, and people will spend less in beef industry.
This is the impartial moderator now asking all these questions about one side of the debate.
Long term. Thank you for the $10. I really appreciate you.
Well,
Okay,
I
Tyler,
guess-
mic's yours.
Okay, so 11% of our GDP is based off of our export, meaning 11% at the end of the day goes out to the entire rest of the world. At worst, we can see an 11% reduction. At the end of the day, though, China is giving us 18%. So this is going to hurt China more than it's going to hurt us. But why would we do that? Why would we want to punish China? They've been devaluing their currency. They've been making crap steel that they've been using to go around tariffs, find loopholes in trade policy to flood our markets with that crappy steel. Now, if Amazon did that, if Amazon dropped its prices artificially low to put its competitors out of business, that's illegal in the United States. But we let them get away with it on a world stage because we're so tied into their economy. They have 18% of their economy goes to the U.S. We're so tied in with them right now, we cannot accurately punish them the same way the EU can't accurately punish Russia for invading a country.
Okay.
Like, we cannot have these ties with these nations. So if you're acknowledging we can't get rid of them because of national security, you're making the problem exist. Well, I'm telling you real practical shit that's been going on with China for 20 years that's been completely unpunished. I'm showing you real practical shit that's been going on with Russia for now 16 years that's finally starting to get punished. Finally, they're the number 2 exporter of oil and gas into Europe. They're still only giving them 40%, but they're the number 2 behind the United States. It took years, decades, and canceling pipelines and blowing up pipelines in order to get that because we allowed these people to make these deals with the devil to import all this cheap shit from our enemies that don't have human rights, climate concerns, or any of the Western values we have because it's a little bit cheaper. And then when it bites us in the ass, it's like, why would we change? It's fucking stupid, and it's the reason we can't go after China.
$10 from Zephyrhash, and I'm going to give it to non-fond to respond to that. Then Tiberius. $10 from Zephyrhash says, I tried to buy a Ford in India.
Jesus.
Same price range as a Hyundai for that model. It's the quality of Ford versus the quality of Hyundai that caused
So the same way the EU can't accurately, it goes out to the entire rest.
to Canada and our offshore auto industry plants, right? That are actually going to be closing down because they
Well,
can't
I heard
afford to sell it anymore because of the reciprocal tariffs, right?
I never just respond to everybody. I never answer my
Psychonaut,
actual
$10, real quick, and then I can let you respond and you can have the mic again. All outlets are saying that the agricultural industry is about to be squeezed. Also, beef prices going up will hurt the consumer, and people will spend less in beef industry long term. Thank you for the $10. I really appreciate you. Okay, Tyler, mic's yours. Yours.
Okay, so 11% of our GDP is based off of our export, meaning 11% at the end of the day goes out to the entire rest of the world. At worst, we can see an 11% reduction. That's a bit cheaper, and then when it bites us in the ass, it's like, why would we change? And it's fucking stupid, and it's the reason we can't go after China.
$10 from Zephyrhash, and I'm going to give it to non-fond to respond to that, then to Tiberius. $10 from Zephyrhash says, I tried to buy a Ford in India. Same price range as a Hyundai for that model. It's the quality of Ford versus the quality of Hyundai that caused me to buy a Hyundai. You cannot tariff away quality and service. Thank you for that $10. Non-fond, you can respond to his points, and we're going to give it to I'm sorry, Tiberius.
Okay, just going back to the EU for a second so I can respond to that. The justification for tariffs on the EU is not even that they're tariffing our cars. Because again, the formula that they use is just the trade deficit divided by imports. This is like total unbelievable incompetence. Like they want balanced trade. Trump is openly suggesting that they want balanced trade. And also, Trump and Peter Navarro have both suggested that value-added taxes, which are a trade-neutral tax, are trade distortions. Peter Navarro wrote a piece for the Financial Times literally like 10 minutes before this panel started, and he considers value-added taxes a trade distortion, even though they're not. So how, I want to answer, how on earth do you expect Trump to negotiate with these countries to reduce their trade barriers when they are considering the value-added tax a trade barrier?
You're muted. We can't hear you.
The exact way he's doing it right now with well over 50 countries coming and calling the United States to get them dropped, but you're conflating different tariffs. You're conflating the intent behind one tariff for the actions of another. I told you there's 3 different tariff policies based off of 2 different laws. But like you're taking the reasoning for one and applying it to another when I broke that down very clearly.
All of them except for, there were tariffs added earlier on like stealing things, but those were all used with the same formula, the same justification that we want balanced trade, right?
Yeah, the way that they came up, I gave you that point. The way they came up with the reciprocal is a little bit stupid, but at the end of the day, there's, I think, what Tiberius
Can you provide me a list of these countries, by the way, the 50 countries you keep citing? Can you provide a list? Which
that document I linked in chat is with all my citations in it, so we can avoid that specific question. It's in there, page 5 or so. So, fuck, I got derailed there. But yeah, no, with Canada as well, I think there's something more going on. He can't say what it is. It's abuse of power. At the end of the day, it's abuse of power. He's lying for the reason he's doing some of these tariffs. I have to concede that because otherwise I'd be lying. It absolutely is. And for those ones, you have a right to be mad about it.
Okay, I see a link to 50 nations have reached out to Forbes article, but that doesn't cite the nations. You do have a list of 7 nations here. Well,
7
EU.
nations are the ones I found independently.
Yeah. So again, I'm asking specifically for.
It's going into these negotiations expecting them to lower their value-added tax. That negotiation
That turns into a government piggy bank for whatever you want to use it for. The different countries do different things with it.
Okay. Tiberius, go ahead.
Yeah.
Can you explain it?
What do you about that? And like, I'm not sure. Like, value-added tax is set in stone. You can't do anything for it in trade negotiations. I think this is speculating a little bit past our merit here. We don't know what they're actually talking about behind closed doors.
Hold on. Do you know what a value-added tax is?
Generally, yeah.
Can you explain it?
What he just said is.
I fucking hate the pop quizzes. Like, that has nothing to do with my point. My point was not anything that didn't line up with a value-added tax. It was just a pop quiz because he's
I want you to explain.
I just would say that we probably should issue one. Doesn't have to be very big, but it would very much do well to cover roads and bridges. You know, moving goods and services from A to B is a really good idea if you want to tax that, especially when shit's going to eat. I'll have to eat it.
Yeah,
I doubt that. I really doubt that.
You're hurting
really doubt
everyone.
Face fucking effects is that the average person's getting poor, the average person's having a lot harder time affording shit, and the only argument you actually have is in the aggregate. In the aggregate. Bitch, I don't fucking believe your goddamn aggregate anymore. I think you're a bunch of liars.
Broken. Every time I talk about the effects of tariffs on these things, on affordability, you go to, well, we're going to help some people in these certain sectors. Oh, you're going to hurt people in other sectors. You're going to
That's
make
fine. I want to
everyone
hurt people
net
who are rich. I'm specifically making it to where you're going to have to pay more to poor fucking people because they're building your fucking shit. I am willing to take that goddamn gamble. And if it fucks over other people, you know what? I'll have to eat it.
Yeah,
I doubt that. I really doubt that.
You're
You
hurting
really doubt,
everyone.
there's an opportunity cost to it, but regardless, like, again, I'm
I
not
can't hear
even-
you, Tyler.
It's okay.
Still can't hear you.
Let's give it to Snail. Snail's been trying to get in. Snail, go ahead. Snail, your time to shine, buddy.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, I just think it's ridiculous because tariffs don't just hurt rich people. I wish that was true. You're hurting everyone else who doesn't work in those sectors. Everybody else who doesn't work in those sectors. That's a small part of the economy.
Every time. And we see this. Every time.
Tariffs
Why is it different now? The big guys, the mom and pop stores, the middle class, the people who are just trying to start a business, they don't. So what this ends up doing is it helps the corporate and it hurts the middle class small business owner.
Bro, I was making my argument that I backed up with data and saying, no, it's actually the tariffs that caused this problem. Not allowing 1% of companies to overship their fucking manufacturing overseas and sell cheap goods that the mom and pop stores don't have any fucking ability to do so. They put so many small businesses out of work with this transition. It's fucking insane. And he's like, oh, but the mom and pop stores, we have less now since then.
Every time. And we see this. Every time.
Tariffs do?
Why is it different now?
Tariffs do that? I don't think that's what
Yes,
tariffs
that's
do.
absolutely what happens with
So when Joe Biden slapped a 100% tariff on China to get them to stop putting their EV
on EVs on a specific industry, this is where you're getting this wrong.
To get them to dump
Okay, how many
EVs
electric vehicle companies have suddenly shot up in America?
Oh, well,
multiple. They're growing to the roof right now.
The moderator.
I think the EV
Almost
tariffs
every
are
car,
bad, but
almost every car company is outputting more EV because of that. And the same thing with a plant in Arizona said they're going to start outputting 50% more trucks because of the tariff. Like the amount of U.S.-based manufacturing we're going to see increase.
Okay,
but
small middle class business owners.
If they're U.S.-based corporations, the ones that actually have the balls of the U.S., why we're not putting a tariff on them? We're
And
putting a
my
tariff on
problem
foreign
here is if I
companies.
want to
It's
start a
like
new
all
company
their
that uses steel, let's use steel as an example, and I'm going to make a widget. And this widget, I need to buy steel to make the widget, right? I need it to make my equipment that manufactures a widget, right? All these things. If that goes up, and I don't have the same connections, and so Amazon, who's got an exemption, suddenly doesn't have to pay the 20% to import it from China, but I do because I don't have the same connections as Amazon. I'm not going to be able to compete.
Okay, so let's just drop
But
the
that
sanctions. We'll
happens.
That's the whole point. You buying things and getting those connections, like the connections are the problem. And he's saying, well, if you don't have those connections, you can't compete. I'm saying the connections are bad, and let's work against them with tariffs. He's saying, but if you don't have those connections, then you're hurting. But like, it's like, yeah, I agree.
All the
Climate
time.
policy,
That's
let's
happening
drop fucking
now.
work. Why aren't we talking about dropping
What's up,
workers'
man?
protection? Why are we talking all the things that drive the U.S. labor cost up?
So dumb.
Yeah,
Hold on,
I'm
hold on. All the things that drive the cost of labor up in the United States. You don't want to cut those. You want to leave those in place. You just want to get people to take advantage of loopholes. So I got a couple things. I'm finally able to get in here.
Hold on,
Now,
that doesn't
your
even
point-
make sense. No, stop. Because that doesn't even make sense. Oh, whoa, this thing also does something bad or something that might be bad, but I can give you specific reasons why we want OSHA, for example, and how before OSHA, it costs the workers much more
He doesn't understand my argument.
in terms of health costs
agree.
and things like that. Whereas
Yeah,
with
so why do they
tariffs,
think
whereas with tariffs, you cannot give me a benefit. Not overall.
Not overall. Yeah, overall, we're going to have less jobs. It doesn't matter that they're lesser paying or part-time or shittier.
But you haven't substantiated any of that.
Trade increases wages.
Hold on, you haven't
Absolutely.
substantiated any of that.
I just showed you factory and
You gave me an anecdote. That's what you gave me.
manufacturing production
That does
are
not prove
40%
anything.
higher than the service industry. I don't, what do you want?
What do you think?
What
Do you think it's the service industry jobs that are going to be lost?
Yes, the 83% of jobs we have in service are the ones that are going to go away. Yes,
That is
Some of it will be
insane
that,
to say.
but
That's just
most
not
of it
true.
will be that. Hey,
Why is that insane to say? That's the fucking non-fun saying that it's the part of the natural cycle that we get rid of manufacturing and create more service. I'm saying we push back against that and get less service and more manufacturing. He's saying that's insane that you even think the two are correlated. Like
a large amount will be that. So, you're making the same point. The tax cut point. Remember how Trump cut everyone's taxes, but it disproportionately affected the 1%. So it was a tax cut for the rich. You guys are making the same fucking argument here. It disproportionately hurts the 1% when we tariff.
I don't believe that to be
No,
true.
hold on,
Again,
no, stop.
it-
First of all, the 1%, they might have one less house. They might have to sell one of their 30 Porsches, okay? The people who get their jobs laid off that aren't the 1% ain't gonna be able to feed their fucking
We
families.
have excess jobs.
can't do that now.
Hypothetical scenario. We have 9 million excess jobs. When is the time we say, okay, we have enough in the number amount, let's raise the quality? I think when you have 9 million more jobs than people employed, that's the time to do it.
Okay. Can I?
It's not gonna work, though.
Am I good now?
Okay, well, okay, Economist Wick, I don't care what your prediction is. Answer my point.
You haven't made one.
I just did. We have 9 million extra jobs than people working. When is your time to say we should worry less about the number of jobs and more about the quality of pay?
We should worry about the quality of pay, but do you think tariffs are the best way to do that? I do not. It's like, if we have a crime problem, your solution is let's just shoot them all.
It's not the best way to do it.
Fucking so stupid. He just dodged the point with a dumb analogy. It didn't carry over at all.
It's a factor.
There's a fire. Let's bring in the flood. Let's blow up the dam and to cut off the fire that's burning in this one house. Let's blow up the whole dam so the whole fucking city floods to stop this one fire. It's crazy.
Yeah, let's completely stop using fucking gasoline to stop this climate fire. That's something you're for. That's something you voted for. It's like,
advocates for that.
I have never voted for stopping fossil fuel production.
yes,
I live in
Joe
Pennsylvania.
Biden
I
years
voted for increased
completely
production,
phased out
sir.
fossil fuel. It was a massive reason we saw prices of gas spike.
This is the moderator that's screaming at me, by the way, that asked a really fucking one-sided question, told me to defend it as he's been doing all night, and then started yelling at me.
Before inflation.
We were producing more gas than ever under.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't.
It does. Of course,
point.
facts don't fucking matter. Of course, facts don't matter to this guy. Of course, none of this matters to this guy because he's got this one factory in this one state. Not fun. Not fun. Go ahead. I've cooked him enough. Follow up. Let's Eiffel Tower this.
Cooked him enough. The dude couldn't address a single fucking point. Like,
Bitch, go ahead. Not fun. Go ahead.
Look, okay, so there's a couple of points out there that I have to talk about. One, all right, guys, already.
hey, look, what's up? I'm currently live. If you're gonna be in here, you gotta come and be in the camera. What's this?
Try it.
This is your dessert. I'll tell you if you come say hello.
Who's that?
Huh? Huh? I'm watching an old debate
Okay.
because it's been a year and all these people said these things about tariffs, and I wanted to just kind of go through and read document.
Who's in there? Just you?
Yeah, it's just me.
Okay.
I just haven't streamed in a while. Oh, hi, Mom.
Hello.
And there's 5 people watching.
Hello, 5 people watching.
Hello, 5 people watching. Thank you. That was good.
You want more?
After I eat some real food, let's eat salad.
Okay. Oh yeah.
I am almost done with. Did you change the laundry over yet?
Not yet.
I got 20 minutes left, but this is the part where the impartial moderator started screaming at me his views on the subject and how I was wrong because he doesn't like them. So we're pretty much all finished here.
He gave you the reasons why it doesn't seem like trade reduces wages. Trade makes people specialize in industries where we are more productive, and therefore they get paid higher wages. There's good reasons in theory to believe.
He's sitting over there smiling like he did something. All he did was like yell insults. You don't believe in facts. When I told somebody his irrelevant fact didn't matter. Like, I was pointing out the policy of the administration. He goes, well, at the end of the administration, it was different. Okay, that doesn't matter. That was 4 years later. Like,
This, and there seems to be empirical evidence that trade increases income as well, and trade's benefits are a lot of times disproportionately felt by poor people who buy a lot of imported goods. It is good for poor people. That is my position. Obviously, by the way, I already explained to you, Tyler, there are certain taxes are pro-growth. The reason I'm in favor of a lot of these carbon taxes or whatever is because I believe they are pro-growth. I don't believe tariffs are pro-growth. There are plenty of ways to raise revenue that is pro-growth. There are also social objectives that we might want to achieve. We might want to make the quality work better, and that might involve some deadweight loss in some.
taxes are pro-growth, despite the fact that ultimately they are not net pro-growth. We're back to because they generate growth in some ways, because maybe they get more kids to school, better education, you see better GDP over time, because they might generate growth over time. We don't know the opportunity cost of that. If those kids didn't get that public funding, could they have done it otherwise? Could they have succeeded? Maybe they'd succeed more because they had to strive for it harder. We don't know. But it does generate some growth. He's not saying net growth. He's just saying some growth. He's back to his original argument that's good enough for all his points, but when we use it, he's pulling his fucking hair out on stream. It's just double standards. It's right because I say so, and it's wrong when I say it's not.
Some reduction in output in exchange for that social goal, and there are some cases where that trade-off is worth it, some cases where it's not. I think it might be the case, it might actually be the case that OSHA is pro-growth because workers stay healthier and are therefore more productive, but I'll grant you that worker protections are negative growth. It still could be worth it for achieving the social goal. I don't believe there is a good social goal here for these tariffs. So obviously,
Yeah, I get you. You don't believe it.
One last thing I want to answer.
His feelings. You're telling me I'm the one not bringing facts, and all you're saying is I don't believe it.
We have no here. We have no good reason to believe it. I have data that shows that I provided a theory. I provided the comparative theory, which it indicates that people will specialize in what they're more productive in, and therefore that's going to increase their wages. And there's evidence as well. I can send you studies that trade increases income, and there's evidence as well. I can send you studies that guess what? Poor people buy more imported goods and therefore benefit disproportionately from trade. There are evidence for all those things. There's no good reason to believe otherwise. I also want to know. I was told I would look ridiculous if these tariffs stuck around for 6 years. I want to know what is the outcome where I look ridiculous.
Oh, the outcome the outcome if this sticks around, and if I'm correct, is that we're going to see probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 6% wage growth every single year for the next until 2030, if not longer. Because we have more people that are going to be investing within building these jobs that people need. 2 points here that I want to make following this up. Number one, Wick was talking about, hey, are we eating jobs across the board, yada, yada, yada. We have more people employed than we ever have at this current point. It's about 160 million people who are working. As of that, we have about 8.3 million people who are in construction jobs. That's the highest it's ever been. So, like, we are seeing growth in the sector, and we are seeing growth in the overall economy. So, like, there's a level where it's like, hey, if the first round of tariffs that we're already dealing with is trading jobs, someone's got to find me the sector that they're eating it out of. And if it's taken out of some shitty service sector jobs that people are coming from into do construction, fucking win, baby, all day. I will happily advocate that these people are getting paid more. Second of all, cheaper goods are not always better. I am tired of this fucking argument because it is bullshit. Stop giving me cheap Chinese vacuums that break after 6 months. Yes, I will take the American one that's made, that's 30% more in cost, but actually lasts 5 fucking years. You can talk about it with sneaker shoes, general appliances, the whole 9 yards. I can go into depth when it comes to just your average tools that you buy, is that if you get something like Right Tools, which are made in the United States.
I think it's funny that we heard Wick say, I don't want to sew the sneakers, and it's like, bro, you're advocating for sweatshops.
It's not one to one.
No, it's not. That's the fucking take I hate.
I challenge you on the GDP argument at all.
Why you guys bring up this point about wages? You're like, I want American workers to be paid more. So do I, motherfucker. That you realize GDP is equal to income.
It's not one to one.
No, it's not. That's the fucking take I hate.
No,
It's not
GDP is
one-to-one.
literally equal to income.
Yes, no,
Yes,
it's
but it's
not
not
one-to-one. That's
distributed.
Everyone in the audience, go to ChatGPT. Ask, is GDP
That's trick.
About 4 or 5 times now.
First of all, even if even if it was trickle down, if the evidence supports it, then call me a trickle down or whatever the fuck. But I don't believe it's trickle down. Benefit to poor people to let them import goods.
You're right. I agree. You're right. And so
That's not trickle down. How is that trickle down?
These generous corporations that are making all this money just naturally pass it on to their workers, right? Because they're just, good people.
Do you disagree
Nope,
that
sure.
wages are largely determined by productivity?
Hold on. Because if that's the case, why don't we just get rid of the corporate tax?
No,
That's
absolutely
more-
not. No.
Okay, first of all, yes, get rid of the corporate tax. Hold on,
100%.
Second
No
of all,
other taxes taking place. Just get rid of it.
I support replacing the corporate tax with something called a DBCFT.
No. Just get rid of it. It's more productive to the economy. Just get rid of it.
So I would say it might have pro productivity benefits getting rid of corporate tax, but I would say the loss in revenue and increasing industrial spending would probably
Yeah, but you just told me.
Oh. So yeah, it would increase productivity. It would be net better, but I disagree with it. Oh.
Tax is pro-growth. Taxing the number one source of fuel in the world is pro-growth to you?
I don't know if I said a gas tax. I don't think I said a gas tax. I said,
He
did I say a gas
He
tax?
said a back tax.
No, he said taxing fossil fuel is pro-growth. We paused for that and made fun of it.
He said gas tax. The gas.
No,
I think it's
carbon tax.
No.
The carbon tax.
I might have.
Yeah,
I
carbon
might
tax
have
credits.
I said carbon tax is pro growth.
Yeah.
I do believe
Yeah.
carbon tax is pro growth.
So
Carbon
taxing the output of carbon for the biggest
Hold on, do
industries
you not
in the
understand
world.
his argument with the carbon
get it.
tax? I don't
I
know if
get
I
it.
agree with
It's
the
like
argument. I
pro-growth.
understand it, right?
It makes companies spend more money so they can get better output of whatever byproducts
Yeah, but
that they
it's
have.
negative. It stops them from
And
emitting
tax on
carbon
consumers.
and negative externality.
I agree, it does, but it doesn't pass. They pass that cost on to consumers. It makes it cost that negatively.
I mean,
hurts
it's not
poor
negative growth.
people. Government policy hurts poor people. Are you going to get rid of it?
No.
No.
So are you, if you're
You're
saying
not. You're just saying the juice isn't worth the squeeze. You are for policy across the board that hurts poor people because you think you're worth it.
No.
But then we have to believe that in this one instance, just because you read an economist like that plagiarized somebody from the 1800s, we should believe you that you're far right. Like, nah, dude.
No. Look, so I don't know. Like, if we're presupposed, I don't believe that climate policies, for the most part, like hurt poor people, at least on net. Because if the counterfactual for the poor people is a destroyed fucking planet, it's probably better for poor people that they pay a little more for the carbon that they emit. Like,
So it's more important than
I
GDP.
think it's like-
No, GDP is number one. GDP's got to be number one. Sorry, the planet gets destroyed. GDP is higher this way.
Tyler, I've explained this to you multiple times.
I've heard you.
One,
I don't think it's being contradictory here, Tyler. Like my general issue
The GDP
is
is zero if we all die.
Right.
I understand that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So one time,
The GDP is zero if we put all of our manufacturing into China and then they fucking
that's
sanction
not
Oh,
Sure, if we put all of our manufacturing into China, that would be true. But
and
thankfully,
then they
we
sanction
don't.
us for something. As soon as they become the world power, as soon as they
What do you mean
become
if we put all even if I grant you, we put all our manufacturing in China, what they're going to sanction the service sector? People, there's still domestic
and they say,
demand.
you know what? Now
So-
all we have to do is flip a switch and your entire fucking country shuts down. You've admitted a national security argument already. And now you're fighting against it?
I have already told you that I believe this policy undermines the national security thing because you're fucking up all our alliances and tariffing our allies, and you're tariffing all the intermediate goods that people that businesses use, that manufacturers use. Half of all the fucking goods we get imported from Canada and Mexico, who I understand weren't tariffed with this tariff round, are intermediate goods. Goods used to produce other goods. When you tariff those goods, you hurt manufacturing. You hurt the strategic industries. I gave you the example: semiconductor manufacturers, a very strategic industry, import goods.
All right, I think I'm a boot done. I'm gonna go ahead and throw this stream in the comments of the post. Didn't know I was so good at beating up kids. Non-fun. Got cooked and I got cooked so hard. Fuck, tagging Wicked here. The
Goods from the EU that can only be made in the EU. The tariff is
Right now.
actively undermining.
Okay.
What? Sorry. The tariff is actively undermining our ability to produce semiconductors.
Today, and then in a month it won't because they're building companies
How
in
long
the
do you think
United
it
States
takes
to
to
produce
build
this.
Again. So I'm going to say
It's
opportunity
good
cost.
for you.
I know your brain's breaking when I say opportunity cost, but I understand. But right now, it's actively undermining our ability to produce these things. And
Yeah,
there's no in the long term it will as well because we're not as efficient at producing these things as the Netherlands is, which is why the Netherlands produces these
We're
things.
not as efficient today. As soon as we tariff them the same way we're being tariffed by the European Union, it'll cost cheaper. You don't understand what what your argument is here.
Okay.
Like, they pay their workers just as much. They have just the same protections environmentally and such. Why can't we? Are you saying Americans are inept and they can't do it? If we're building these facilities here right now,
Look,
we're doing Operation Warp Speed 2.0
I'm
to
saying
push
the
through
opportunity,
regulation.
the opportunity cost for America is higher because we have other advanced sectors that Europe doesn't have. Most of the tech shit that contributes to our GDP takes place in America. The only like big tech company in Europe is like fucking.
Like, there's no argument here. That's the opportunity cost isn't there because we have other sectors. Like why not do both? He has no argument for that. Why not do both? It's just not there. But why not? They pay their people just as good, if not better. They have socialized healthcare. They have higher taxes and all this shit. Why can't we compete with the European Union? There's fucking Sweden. Why are we unable to? That's a really good question we need to be asking more. Why the fuck aren't we able to compete with any other Western country and win every single time? And it's like, we have the lowest taxes, we have the most business freedoms in the world, and like, we shouldn't lose any comparative advantage our battles with any Western nations that maybe devalue their currency or have super cheap labor. I can understand that because it costs way less to produce things, but like, if they have the same labor cost as us, there's no reason why the United States should not be able to output for the same amount, if not cheaper. And it's like, everyone's begging for more good jobs. And he's like, no, it would cost money to build those. We just need more fucking Applebee's. Like, if we had like 10 more Applebee's, it'd be good. A few more fucking Applebee's, and that's just going to make up for the fact that we are building the centrifuges that we absolutely should be able to.
Spotify, okay? The opportunity cost for America is higher. That's why the Netherlands should be building these things. They also have all the fixed cost built out already. They benefit from economies of scale. There are benefits from economies of scale because Netherlands has the economies of scale built out already. They benefit from that.
Sunk cost fallacy. We build it here, that's suddenly out the door.
Who's gonna hold on? Where do you think?
Wait, no.
No.
He doesn't understand that kind of invalidates his whole argument. It is my point. Like, it's a sunk cost fallacy, saying like, well, they just have the better facilities to produce it right now, so it saves us money just to buy it from them. Maybe in the short term. It just like, why, if this is such a critical piece of technology, why aren't we building it here? Why is it a national security issue to make sure we have this going on here? It doesn't add up to me. And telling me that like it's cheaper for the Netherlands to do it. Again, if you said Cambodia, I'd be like, all right, they probably pay them fucking $1 a day. All right. But like, the Netherlands, those motherfuckers have more taxes and benefits and shit than we do. Like, there's no fucking way we can outbuild them.
Oh, there's
There's
so much
a lot.
wrong with this.
Talking about.
And it's like, there's no way we don't have the people. There's people starving for fucking high pay. I'm begging people, hey, I have a skilled worker with a college degree. What the fuck?
There's so much wrong
I
with this.
understand, but infrastructure is a fixed cost.
There's so much wrong with this, but he can't fucking ever articulate an argument. He just yell ad hom.
I think it's a sunk cost fallacy is what you're supposing, is what I'm saying.
No, I'm saying like for something that has very high fixed cost, it's more efficient to only build out that fixed cost once and have like one facility producing that thing. It's not more efficient to
I
have
get
two facilities producing these things. It's not a sunk costing. That's a fixed costing.
You're
That's
saying it's a sunk cost
average-
fallacy
average
is what's saying that. If that second thing is over here, then it's different because then you can go eat your products.
Okay,
over
so
here.
we
We're next
understand
door
that
to
with
I
these
agree.
higher end things, you can't just come out of high school and start working there. You need training, you need experience, you need higher education, you need these things. We have a very limited supply of that in America, especially since we've stopped immigration pretty.
So they have more skilled workers in the fucking Netherlands than America. And the companies, like, we in America, if we're short on medical staff and doctors, so we pay people to go to school. Like, these private firms are like, oh shit, I need a doctor. You come work here for 20 years for a slightly reduced rate, and we'll pay for your school. And it's like, that's how they get that shit done. They could do the same fucking thing here. But like, it's just like these single dumb, off the top of my head factors. Well, I thought of this one reason why it could be bad, so let's just shut down the conversations. It's just silly.
much, and we're just snatching people off the street and deporting them to the torture prison, right? That's
That's
happening.
not even close to
and
Jesus fucking Christ.
I mean, people are advocating right now for getting rid of the H-1B visa,
You just said-
right?
okay,
Hold on,
what do you
stop. Let me make a point, okay? And then you can respond, okay? But here we go. We have
See,
a limited pool
Wick says makes some shit up, and then uses his moderator power to fucking shut people down.
of workers who can work in these things. So they're already employed gainfully, right? In a lot of cases, the ones who are actually good at their jobs, first of all. And when we make a new plant that requires these
you're
things,
just not good
like
enough.
unless we import them from other countries, right? we just don't have the base. We don't have the educational base. We don't have the ability to
Yeah,
have
these same Americans
both
too fucking
where they were working
stupid.
before and where they are working where we want them to work to happen. So it's cheaper, easier, better to get it from the Netherlands. You understand this,
Right
correct?
now,
you can
yes,
respond.
right now. I've said this multiple times. Right now it is. And then you build a facility here. They still have all the climate regulation. They still have higher taxes. They have all sorts of shit. There's no way it should be cheaper to build something in the Netherlands than here if we have the same output. We just don't have these factories built. They're being built right now. I don't care what because you keep giving me your feelings and what you think, despite the fact that I'm meeting you with evidence. I don't care. Never
I have
facts are
way more evidence than you have. What do you mean?
keep saying that, but you keep repeating the same point over and over. I feel like you basically made something up. I
Insane.
caught you making shit up. It's debate.
About
Literally-
opportunity cost, and you keep
No,
forgetting.
I literally caught you making up something about debating about how they can't negotiate when there's a value-added tax. I showed you negotiations that took place with value-added tax where you can
I
limit it to
said
certain
it's fun,
sectors.
what I said. I didn't even say anything. I asked you how well do you expect negotiations to go when Donald Trump is going to these
You said
countries
they were
with
impossible.
the mindset. I said if I literally said it was impossible these countries lower their value-added taxes, then I apologize. It's obviously not impossible for these countries to lower their value-added taxes. These countries rely on value-added taxes for a lot of revenue, so it's
Yes, it
unlikely.
can be adjusted. They also rely on the tariffs that they have on us for as well. It's common practice. But yes,
Wait, no,
come
on.
It is cheaper for us to do that.
Tariffs are not a major revenue generator in any of these European countries. Shut the fuck up. What do you mean, dog? Nowhere
No, they're
near the
not.
value-added tax.
No, they're not. They're not generating revenue. What they're doing is they're taking away our competitive edge. So what Tiberius was saying earlier, a 10% tariff is just a competitive edge adjustment. It's not actually like a tariff to incentivize anything to come back here. It's just a competitive edge adjustment to try to make our products or worth the same amount as the people importing. So like that's not a huge deal. But yes, they are not making money off the tariff. They're reducing sales with the tariffs, selling it to their own companies, and then making money off the taxes from the.
We're just circling the drain at this point. All right, thanks for watching. That's all I'm doing. Had fun. I'd like to see that I was right about most of these things. I got a couple things wrong. Caught myself saying maybe 2 things wrong, so is what it is. But otherwise, yeah. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed Non-Fun having getting absolutely cooked, spurging out, Wiki yelling as the moderator and taking a position on the argument because he knew his side was losing so fucking hard,